Recording stopped.
Testing. Oh, I get my hair trimmed tomorrow, thank goodness. Why it's so crazy? Crazy because it's like oh, that's on the back.
I feel like you're being followed. Sorry.
I could have stopped. This is super cute. Thank you. What's up?
Lunch. And then CNL district meeting September 7th.
I signed up for it. I'm not really. I'm gonna be out of town. So I need to unsign up for that.
Did you set it out loud? Results are popping up on her.
Would you like to do a CNL district meeting? 7th, 3 o'clock, legislative update, and then social orientation.
Yes. Thank you.
Hey. Good to see you.
What happens when you're 22?
Whoa.
It's like, it's a seat I
I need to
probably
come
would
down
sit
there.
in
And
at
I
some
was like,
point.
no, I got it.
In a little hole here. Gosh.
Oh, my husband's
Do not say antique.
Yeah,
Mark over in the market.
it's busy.
That's why when I was saying earlier about, like, think about some of that area for parking. A is an example.
Well, they just started doing this, the base stucco on the house, and so I had to stop and go take pictures. Ceilings down.
That's pretty exciting.
Brandon was talking to me, I was like, I gotta go. I don't think they have something yet. I think he was just kind of doing some preliminary whatever. He can do that. Yeah, but no, I don't think, yeah. No. I don't know. I honestly don't think so, based on budget, from what I was hearing from them.
I believe that.
I'm with you.
No, but my builder, one of the sons is building across the street.
I just want to remind the public, if you're planning on speaking tonight, we do have a sign-up sheet in the hallway and at the podium. Just either sometime in the middle of the meeting or after. Just we want to make sure we have your correct information. I figured. All right, you guys ready? Yep. Katie, you ready? Nicole? All right, I'd like to call this meeting to order dated August 15th, 2023. The time is now 6:30. Roll call, please.
Trustee Cesaro.
Here.
Trustee Hartz.
Here.
Trustee Moreland.
Here.
Trustee Thomas.
Here.
Trustee Wolf. Here. Trustee Ah.
Here.
And Mayor Tarkington.
Here. Would everybody please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance? Board have any conflicts of interest to announce at this time? Seeing none, we will move on to general public input. If you are here to talk about an item on the agenda, we will wait for that section in the agenda. But if not, feel free to step up to the microphone and state your name and address for the record.
Good evening. My name is Joyce Cohen, and I live at 20 Creekside Drive in Durango. Tell me when my 3 minutes starts.
Start talking.
Okay. I'm here tonight to talk to you about an issue that's been getting a lot of media attention and is becoming a big concern, especially in Colorado. I'm talking about puppy mills. I'm not talking about breeders, responsible breeders. I'm talking about factory farms that house thousands of dogs and cats in horrific conditions. You folks actually have the opportunity to help by passing an ordinance banning the sale of puppies and kittens in pet stores, because pet stores buy from puppy mills, thereby perpetuating their existence. I know Bayfield doesn't have any stores that sell puppies and kittens right now, but this is a preemptive ordinance, meaning you have to pass it before a store comes to town and wants to sell animals. Once that happens, it's too late. You can't go back. You may have heard in the media pet store owners saying that we buy from licensed breeders. Well, puppy mills are governed and licensed by the USDA, and I use the word governed very loosely. It's perfectly legal to keep dogs in cages that are only 6 inches larger than the dog, wire and mesh cages that are stacked one on top of another so that the dogs above relieve themselves on the ones below. They never have to ever let the dogs out of the cages. They do not have to have interaction with humans or other dogs. They don't get proper veterinary care. And when the dog is of no use to the mill anymore, usually at about 5 years old, they can dispose of them in any way they want. Last night, Aurora moved to pass the ordinance on to second reading, and I learned something more horrific at that meeting, that puppy mills often take metal tubes and shove them down dogs' throats to sever their vocal cords so that they can't bark. Puppy mills probably would have been eradicated a long time ago had its occupants had a voice, but they don't have a voice. And we love our companion animals way too much to let this happen. No responsible breeder will sell to a pet store. You would not be hurting any breeders, and people can still get their designer dogs or their purebred dogs by going to a responsible breeder, just not being able to buy them in a pet store. 12 towns in Colorado have passed this ordinance, and over 450 towns and cities and 7 states in the nation have passed this ordinance. The whole West Coast now has passed the ordinance, which makes it problematic for Colorado because those pet stores are going to be looking for a place to relocate. And Colorado, unfortunately, has very lax laws on where pet stores can get their animals. Out-of-state lobbyists are now working, that advocate for pet stores, are now working furiously to stop this growing trend. They actually got hold of Durango, who was ready to pass the ordinance, and it's now on hold. But thankfully, Mancos passed the ordinance last week. I would really like to get on your agenda in order to give you more information on this and, of course, to answer any questions that you may have. I gave Kathy my card and would, again, love to be back here again to talk more about this. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Joyce.
My name is Lucy Stewart. I live at 128 North Appaloosa in Bayfield. And the reason I'm here tonight is I've been battling a water fight in my backyard. Since Jerry Hager's place went up for sale, whoever is irrigating that field is not irrigating it, and it runs down the back. The water sits behind our houses. I've got a neighbor with 2 little kids that can't play outside because the mosquitoes are so bad. I contacted, tried to contact Katie. She was not in the office. She was, I think, gone on vacation or something. So I called Public Works, and he did go check it out. And I had already called Josh Wick, who is one of the ditch riders in that area, and he went, that was on a Friday, he went on a Saturday to check and try to get this water stopped. And it stopped the first time after Josh went for a little bit, then the water's worse. And so over the weekend, we got more water, so all of our utilities are underwater in the back of our house. And I called Public Works, and he said he had tried, but there's nothing they can do with the ditch company as far as keeping this water out of here. I called Katie. She said there really wasn't much they could do. So I'm here because this is a problem we had years ago, and the town sunk a lot of money into putting in some drilling wells back in the back to see where this water was coming from. You guys voted and did all this stuff on groundwater and place to hold this water, but here, I can't do anything, and I've got nothing but mosquitoes in my backyard. I can't do anything. And then on Thursday of last week, we were supposed to get our trash picked up. But this has been ongoing for a while now. We either get it picked up on Friday, or maybe we don't get it picked up. Then, we didn't get it picked up on Thursday. Friday morning, so they came and picked up the trash. My trash can was laying back on its back, and I thought, okay, my trash is empty. I was in Pagosa at a doctor's appointment. I come back, and there's trash still half full in my trash can. So I didn't realize that you guys do not work on Friday down here at the town hall. So I went to the trash, found the 800 number, called it, and I got somebody from Republic. And they said, oh, we can't talk to you. We have strict notes from Bayfield that we have to talk directly to the town, not to you. So here we are now. My trash can has been full, pretty much full, because they just dumped it a little bit. So like the first 2 bags are gone, the rest is full in that trash can. And I know they're going to start complaining because our trash cans are full, but I've seen a lot of trash cans that stay full after they come and pick up. So I don't know who's responsible for it, but something needs to be done. This is going to get out of hand, with all the trash that we're picking up in the yards with the wind and everything. So I do appreciate your time. Thank you.
Thank
Thank you, Lucy.
We have anyone else not on items on the agenda? All right, seeing none, we'll move on. Did everybody get a chance to go over the agenda?
Madam Mayor, I'd like to make a motion to approve the agenda.
And second it?
All right, we have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Roll call.
Trustee Zazzaro.
Yes.
Trustee Hartz.
Yes.
Trustee Moreland.
Yes.
Trustee Thomas.
Yes.
Trustee Wolf.
Yes.
Trustee Ah.
Yay.
And Mayor Tarkington.
Yes. All right, at this time, I would like to read a proclamation. Pine River Shares is celebrating its 10th anniversary. Therefore, September 2023 is recognized as Pine River Shares Month in the town of Bayfield, Colorado. Whereas Pine River Shares is celebrating its 10th year anniversary this October, and whereas Pine River Shares has pursued its mission to use the knowledge, skills, and resources of people living in the Pine River Valley to increase their collective power and bring about positive social change, resulting in thriving Pine River Valley communities. And whereas, over the last 10 years, Pine River Shares has lived and worked by the saying, when everyone shares, no one goes without. In the spirit of sharing, they are inviting you to participate in a delicious fundraising project that benefits local businesses and celebrates Pine River Shares throughout September 2023. Therefore, I encourage all Pine River citizens to participate with our local businesses in this celebration of sharing throughout September and beyond. When everyone shares, no one goes without. Given under my hand on this 15th day of August, 2023. We'd like to invite Pine River Shares up to the podium to talk about their event in September.
My name is Sherman Bai. I'm at 1743 Pine Valley Road in Bayfield. I've been involved with Pine River Shares for 8 years now, and I'd like to thank the mayor for recognizing Pine River Shares and especially celebrating this month of September. What we have done is ask and invite as many businesses in the Pine River Valley as we could, if they would like to take one day in the month of September that we would promote their business as many different ways as we can to bring people into the business that maybe have never been to their restaurant, their establishment, and boost their revenue for this particular month. At this point, we have nearly 15 people that have accepted that invitation. We'll have a calendar up for the community to see what day and who is involved. We range from Vallecito all the way down to Ignacio. We have commitments of people that are willing to celebrate with us, and we're hoping that we can draw people into businesses and boost that income for them for the month of September. That's our way of sharing. We don't have much to give. We've existed by the graciousness of donations from the community and businesses for the last 10 years, and this is kind of a way to help pay them back. So check our website, check our Facebook page, look for flyers all over town, look for flyers in different businesses, see what day they're participating and celebrating with us, and hope you come join us and we see you there. Thank you again.
Yeah, thank you everybody for everything you do, Pine River Shares. All right. Did everybody get a chance to go over the minutes from August 1st, 2023?
Madam Mayor, I'd like to make a motion to approve the August 1st regular meeting minutes presented by Town Clerk Dustin Hayden.
I'll second that.
All right, roll call, please.
Trustee Cesaro.
Yes.
Trustee Hartz.
Yes.
Trustee Moreland.
Yes.
Trustee Thomas.
Yes.
Trustee Wolf.
Yes.
Trustee Ah.
Yay.
And Mayor Tarkington.
Yes. All right, moving on to our department reports. Public Works, Corey, would you like to give the highlights of your report?
Good evening, Madam Mayor and Board of Trustees. For the month of July, we had 39 one-call tickets. We have one incident in the water system. A contractor pulled a thrust block and it blew apart on us. We were able to get it shut off, and fortunately, we only had one customer that was affected during that time period. At the sewer system, we had 4 incidences with the fiber optic guys going around. They hit 4 more sewer lines. Seems to be
Are they paying for that?
way of the future. In the streets, the only thing really worth noting is the slurry seal project was supposed to start this Monday, but it got pushed back to the 21st. And then on the administration side, Lucas Horn has got a CDL now, and we sent 3 operators to a mini conference, Josh, Lucas, and Artie. it was very beneficial, and they're actually looking at scheduling their first test for certification.
Cool.
Did you want to ask them about that?
Oh, I had asked earlier if when they do that damage to the sewer lines, is that something they pay for to fix?
Yes and no. If it's mislocated, then the town has to
Gotcha.
cover it. If it's located correctly, then they have to pay for it.
Okay, hopefully it was located correctly.
Yes and no.
Some yes, some no.
Some yes, some no.
Darn.
We've corrected that situation, and they're new hires, and they're learning the trade, so
Right.
comes with its mishaps.
It's the learning curve. Gotcha.
All right, anybody have any questions for Corey?
That was the only question.
Thank you.
Thanks.
All right, Chief Hogue, would you like to give your report?
Good evening, Madam Mayor, Board of Trustees, and everybody here just to hear me talk, right? July was a very busy month for us because the Senate Bill 217 went into effect. And what that is, I'll get into a bit more later. But all officers are mandated to wear body-worn cameras now and document all interactions with the community, whether it's mostly just law enforcement related, but not just general conversation anymore. That was day one, and then on the 4th of July, we had our wonderful celebration, which went off without a hitch, knock on wood. But for us, we have to thank Colorado State Police, La Plata County Sheriff's Office, and La Plata Mounted Patrol for assisting us with traffic control that day. There was a lot of people in town. There was a lot of roads we had to kind of close off and block off to make sure the parade went off very safely. So I want to thank them for being here and helping us with that. Officer June, our junior officer, she attended PPC instructor's course. She is now our defensive tactics instructor. So we need to have one of those on our force at all times because we have to get recertified every year. So she is now our instructor. I went to a lot of meetings throughout the month. One of the most important one was the Colorado case law update that I went with the sheriff's office. We got a lot of updates because July 1 enacted a lot of new laws this year. We did a lot of foot patrols for the block parties. There was no incidents to report. We continued to provide extra patrol and foot patrol for the softball games. There was no use of force last month, which was thankful. The calls for service between 2023 and 2022 in July, we had a 30% increase in calls this year from last year. Outside of that, we are still looking for 2 people to hire, and we are getting everything else reorganized, and we're in business now. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, Community Development Director report, Nicole?
Yes, good evening. Couple things. Our comprehensive plan update. We wrapped up the working group meetings in June, and I plan to get the red line to the working group this week so that they can start looking at it. And then we will hopefully have by the end of August, early September, the public draft out for the public to review. Again, we're not rewriting the whole document. We're just making some updates. It's a 5-year update just to make it more relevant to what we are seeing and dealing with in the community today. So that's coming out. And then hopefully this fall we'll have it in front of the Planning Commission and Board of Trustees for some amendments to it. We also, Growing Water Smart, I know the Board of Trustees is looking at that as one of your top goals for 2024. And so the Sonoran Institute, which is a nonprofit institute that helps a lot of communities with different types of projects in the state and in the West, they are offering a technical assistance called Growing Water Smart Metrics. And this is, they're choosing 2 communities in the state. I've been in touch with the Sonoran Institute quite a few times recently, so they actually reached out to me and asked me if I was interested in applying. So we did apply for that. It's free process, and if we do get chosen, they will come down, help us with some technical assistance, possibly some public meetings on WaterWise, and even looking at policies for the community of how we move forward with WaterWise smart metrics. And they also, twice a year, they host a workshop for WaterWise, and they've never done one in Southwest Colorado, so I've asked them to consider us for 2024, and we'd be happy to be the host of that workshop. So hopefully that will happen as well. Prop 123, the Board of Trustees did approve the opting of Prop 123 on August 1st, and I did submit that on August 7th. So we have officially been submitted to the state. We're required to provide 14 affordable units by the end of 2026. And then grant updates, Strong Communities Infrastructure Grant. This is the grant that the board approved town staff applying for Cinnamon Heights as well as the Pine River Commons. And the letter of intent did go out last week on that. And we will, if we are invited to apply, we will, the application process is starting October 1st. So we should find out sometime in September. The MMOF grant, we have kicked off that project with SEH. I'm just trying to finalize some minor contract things for them to get out there and start doing some survey work at that location. And that's the mid crossing from Commerce to the pawn shop area. The East Mill Street sidewalks, we are wrapping up engineering, and that is going out to bid, or has been put out to bid, so we are going to have our bid meeting this week to see if we have any interested contractors wanting to do the sidewalk project. We've also, because we had to do geotechnical report and also retaining wall design to where we turn onto Buck Highway from Mill Street, that did take a little bit longer. The geotech and the retaining wall design took a little longer than anticipated, and so we have asked the state CDOT to extend the deadline. The sidewalk should be in by December 31st of this year, and we're asking them for a 6-month extension. We don't think we'll need that much time, but that gives us a cushion. They have received our request and told us they would let us know in the next 30 days if we're granted that extension. And that gives us till June of next year to complete the project. And as you all know, we did receive $2 million for the Cinnamon Heights project, and we still have a gap of $700,000. So that's what I was looking at the Strong Communities grant for, but also the county had mentioned they might have some ARPA funds, so we'll continue to talk with the county and see if there's some additional funding opportunities there. But we were told by the state that we, in 4 to 6 months before we receive our notice to proceed, to start the engineering on site, or the excavation on site. And then the congressionally directed spending, this one we thought we did not receive. We asked for $3 million for the new signal at Bayfield Parkway on the east side of town, and we had heard that we did not receive that, but that was from Senator Hickenlooper's office. However, as you all probably saw in the Durango Herald, Congresswoman Boebert was in the area, and she met with the county commissioners and told them that she was able to get us $1.5 million. And so I haven't confirmed that with her office staff yet. I'm waiting to hear back from them. But so it's possible we got $1.5 million for that signal. We're not quite sure yet. So hopefully we'll hear something on that one soon. And that's all I have.
Any questions for Nicole? Okay, at this time, I will pause the regular meeting and open up our public hearing. Keep in mind, we do have a staff presentation. We have some time for the board to ask questions, and then I will open it up for public input. Then I will close the hearing, and we'll revisit this item later in the agenda. So Nicole, you want to kick us off here?
Sure. So I'm just going to start with a little bit of history of this project. So Joe Stevenson Park, all this property, Joe Stevenson Park, the central area, which is about 25 acres of what we call the open space area, and the town's wastewater treatment plant property, which is all this area, at some point belonged to the school district. And over time, different pieces of property were purchased by the town, or were given to the Pine River Rodeo Arena property. And what we've been doing, back in 2018, the town adopted the Parks, Trails, and Open Space Master Plan. And that really is the plan for how we want to develop parks and trails and open space in the future in the town limits. It includes things like locations for potential new parks, includes the type of facilities we want to see in the parks, whether that's playgrounds or more passive recreation facilities or trails, and that includes details like what the trails should look like and what type of benches and picnic tables there should be. So there's a lot of detail in this plan. But as part of that plan, the town also paid to have the Joe Stevenson Park, Eagle Park, and then these other two properties master planned as part of that. And so that was done in 2018. In that original plan, the rodeo arena was being located down south by the wastewater treatment plant, which is approximately almost 11 acres down there. And in exchange, the town was going to use that property to have another multi-use field, a dog park, basketball courts, pickleball courts, and that type of thing, expanding the skate park. Well, last year when we hired our most recent Parks and Rec director, Ryan and Katie met with the school district, who actually has a reverter deed on the arena property. And so the arena property, if the arena was ever to be relocated, that property is deeded back to the school district for ownership. And so the town met with the school district, kind of went back through that plan that was done in 2018 and showed them what the proposal was, because ultimately we want to start going after some grant funding and try and get the park constructed. And at that time, the school district said they were not interested in moving the arena, that they wanted it to remain, and we had to go ahead and revise our plans. And so the town hired Groundwork Studio, who did our original plans, and almost $15,000 contract to have them revise the plans. And so as part of that, we wanted to go back to the community, because it's been 5 years. We wanted to hear what types of facilities the community wanted to see in these parks. We had 2 different concepts that we presented. We had quite a bit of turnout for the town of Bayfield. Again, I've said this before, when I tried to do some road projects, I had 30 people show up at 3 different meetings total. And Ryan, he put a survey online, and within the first day he had quite a few respondents, but we had a total of just shy of 400 respondents from community members of what they wanted to see in the parks. We took those comments, we came back to the Planning Commission and the Board of Trustees and heard from you all of what you wanted to see based on the comments that we received from the community, and we revised it to one plan, and that's what's in front of you tonight. And so this is the concept that we would like to move forward with. Again, this is still a high level, so I like to say 30,000 foot elevation. We're not in the details. This is a high level plan in order for us to try and apply for some funding. We do need to get to more detailed levels with engineering stuff, but we need funding to do all that. And so we want to have a plan that we can move forward with. We want to apply for GOCO grants. And so once we have a plan that's been approved by the board, then we can work with Groundwork Studios to phase it, determine what appropriate phases are, and do some preliminary cost estimates. Again, we won't have final cost estimates till we have more engineering, but get some preliminary cost estimates of what it's going to cost to do the whole project, and then really determine how many phases we can do at a time based on those estimates. So this did go to the Planning Commission last week. The Arena Association, the town, Katie and I met with them again recently, and we're a bit surprised that they really weren't in the loop on this project. And so I know they were taken aback. They were concerned that the town's really pushing out the arena project. And so we worked with them and talked with the Planning Commission and had a condition added to the motion that the town would continue to work with them. We do want to see them succeed because we know that they're going to remain at this property. We want them to be able to come along with us, be able to fix up their property and have it a part of our park plan versus something that's just ignored. And so looking at access for their property, parking was a concern for them, especially with their large trailers, and so making sure that we can accommodate when they have events there, that they have places to park as well. And so as we move forward and refine this, we want to continue to work with them and make sure that we can meet that condition that the Planning Commission is recommending be added to the Board of Trustees condition as well. And so we did have quite a few members show up, and then we had some community members show up that just wanted to see some other things considered, like seniors and the AARP exercise equipment may be added to it, as well as getting high school students involved in the process, which I know there were some as part of the surveys, and this was at Town Hall for a while, this was at the library for a while, it was also at the Spring Festival, and so we did have a range of different age groups of our community that weighed into the park plan. And so what staff would like to see is a decision by the board that we can move forward with so that we can continue to try and get this park plan a reality for our community. So when you get to that point, there are some recommendations, but again, one condition that was added is to work with the Pine River Arena Association with access to their property and parking for their horse trailers. And with that, I'd be happy to answer any questions that you all have. And one thing I do want to point out too is Eagle Park. The other two concepts that we were looking at had like a sand volleyball court, and we heard from the board we really don't want to touch Eagle Park. If anything, maybe more trees in the future, but we don't want the Joe Stevenson Park elements to be added to Eagle Park. So that was removed, and the only thing that's at Eagle Park now is just a put in for paddlecraft potential river access. So I just wanted to point that out as well. And happy to answer any questions that you have of staff.
We did talk about having more covered picnic areas. Is that still an option with this plan like it is?
On this plan, it's hard to see. I apologize. I didn't print it large yet because I just didn't know. I want to make sure once we get approvals, and if there's any changes, then I'll go ahead and print a large one for the town. But there's some blue shade structures throughout the park area. So there's 3 up by the playground area. And then the pickleball, we also added a shade structure down by the pickleball for people that are watching it. So there were some added, and we can always look at some, like again, this is so conceptual. As we get into the details, we can look at other locations to provide more shade for. And then I believe Parks and Rec is going to want to probably see some shade in the playground areas as well, and so we'll make sure that's part of the plan.
Well, I was thinking more along the lines of how we rent out the other side, and they've got a place for little party
These are
place.
big enough.
Are they?
Yeah,
they're
especially
big
the
enough for that.
one that's-
It's so hard to tell on this.
Yeah, it is. They're quite large, especially
Okay.
the one that's just north of the basketball court. That's quite large
Okay.
one too. But they all would be available to be rented out if we wanted to go that route. And again, we can enlarge where they're at too. There's space there if we
Okay.
want to make them a little bit bigger. So right
Cool.
now we have 3 in the Joe Stevenson.
That'd be
Park.
great. I know people call and they're rented all the time. It's hard to get in, so it'd be nice to have some extras. That was the only question I had.
I thought we had discussed having a stage for live music. That was where I guess these 30 parking spaces were.
So what we decided for the stage was to keep it portable.
Okay.
So we can put it anywhere. So we
Okay.
can put it where that parking is. We
Okay.
can put it at Eagle Park. We can use it for the block parties.
Mhm.
We can put it down, if the rodeo arena wants to use it. So we can, having it portable where we're gonna, we enlarge the Parks and Rec maintenance property area so that we can store the stage there, and then we can use it in multiple locations.
Okay.
Oh, cool.
Any other questions from the board? At this time, I'll open it up for public input. If you have a question, I really want to avoid doing all the back and forth. So if you have a question, we'll take all of those and then we'll have staff address those after all the questions are asked. So feel free to come up to the microphone, state your name and address for the record.
Sandra Martin, 134 East Mill. With your concern about Cinnamon Heights or any new developments like that, could you please have some open space? Crowding more and more people and confining more and more people without open space for those young families. A lot are going to be young families too, moving into our area. Please consider that in your planning when you agree for development like that. Thank you.
Thank you.
Ryan Blanchard, 627 Louisiana Drive, Bayfield. I'm here just to support the concept that is proposed tonight of the Newtown Master Park. I got involved with this in 2018. That was 5 years ago when the town was actively surveyed, and I think that survey was well done. It was at the library for a few weeks, and there were hundreds and hundreds of respondents back then and what they wanted. But also, as you talk to people in town, and as our town grows with these new developments and whatnot, I think this is a huge piece of the puzzle to enhance Bayfield and make it more desirable to live here and to stay in town more often. But I think more importantly, even if you're against the plan, I think you have to at least acknowledge that a plan like this with pickleball courts and new basketball courts and large open spaces and special events and concerts and equestrian events and heritage events will enhance the town. But it will also bring people to town, whether it's dog shows or car shows or heritage events or farmers markets or bake sales or all kinds of things that we can do with a park like this, bringing the community together. We have to get people off the highway into our town so that they spend money. We as a town need more financial support. And if we have something like this park, we're going to bring people in from all over and get them off the highway. So I think even if you're against the plan in general and you're not a park person or you don't care about walking the trails or riding your bike, just consider what it will do for the town financially, because we need help with that. Downtown needs help with that. That will attract more developers. It will provide more open space for young families and older folks or just people in general who want to get out and enjoy what Bayfield has to offer. This plan will open up the river. That's a huge asset that the town has, is knowing that we have probably a half a mile or more of river that right now is somewhat limited in access. The South Park part of the park will be, it's totally unused right now. This could be large dog parks for large and small dogs, but also another huge open space for special events and all kinds of different things. It'll bring the community together. Whether you're in favor of the park, we'll figure out how to pay for it. It's a challenge, but we also need that influx of money to the town. So I support the park. I hope that the board moves forward with it, and then let's get on. It's been 5 years. That's enough. Some of us want to use this park before we pass on to the big park in the sky.
Thank you, Brian.
Go ahead.
Enid Morrison. I reside at 6605 County Road 523, and I am here actually in support of the rodeo grounds. I live out in the county. I was raised here in the county. I did 4-H in the county, as well as a lot of my friends and a lot of good kids. We shop at the businesses here in the county. I'm 100% for the parks facility. I think it's wonderful. My kids will use it. People in the county will use it. My understanding, though, is that the rodeo grounds was kind of left off of the survey because it already exists. So I understand that. But there are also a lot of kids that go to school here who reside in the county, who spend money in the county, and they need supported as well. So I'm 100% for the park going forward. I think it's a great idea. I also think the county kids need some consideration. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Wow, where have you been?
I thought I'd give you a rest. Phyllis Ludwig, 9205 County Road 521. You have a great plan there for a beautiful park. We don't live in the city, but our fence line is the city. And the only thing we've been talking about at home is the dog parks. which are very nice. But we're wondering what kind of fence is going to be next to them, because our cattle are just over the fence. And if the dogs get loose and go through the fence, there'll be you-know-what to pay. So we need some consideration and maybe talk to us about fencing, and we can do it together or something, because we sure don't want any dogs chasing cows. Thank you.
Thank you.
The beef is too tough when they run around.
Phyllis, you're reminding me of when the cattle were in my neighborhood, on my neighbor's backyard over the fence. Yep. Yep. We were like, get him out of there.
All right, do we have any more public input on the parks?
Follow up with another Phyllis, real quick. I do want to thank
Name
you.
and
Full name, address,
Oh.
for the record.
Phyllis Rhodes, 391 County Road 520, Bayfield. Again, county people, maybe not in-town people, but I do want to thank you for at least considering the importance of the arena and the rodeo people in this community. So thank you for that. I also want to thank you for thinking about the parking. After going to the county fair this weekend, you cannot shuttle equipment and feed to the fair. So that is going to be very important to be considered with the arena. But thank you for keeping that in mind and moving forward with that. Thank you.
Dion Phelps, 1373 Palo Verde. This plan has been way longer than 5 years. Mid-90s, we had a plan. It's great. But are the fields going to be open for the kids? Right now, they're locked. You go over there and they're locked. We're spending this type of money for the kids in the community, correct? Let's open the fields. These bathrooms are open. Those bathrooms are locked. Why? It's a community park. Our taxes pay for it. Our kids want to play. My kids don't want to play anymore, but I'm here for the kids and I'm here for the activities. But we have to let the kids play. We can't lock them out of the facilities we built. It's not about, the kids aren't playing pickleball. Guarantee that. You play pickleball?
All right, hold on. Let's get through this here.
But it's a great plan, but have it open. Don't lock the kids out.
Thank you, Dion.
Hi, Marion Tone, 1495 County Road 526. I just have a question, and then again, address those later. So on the proposal regarding arena parking, going back to the questions about the arena, I see parking, but on the conceptual plan park design, I don't, and I don't know which one is right. So, thank you.
Okay. All right, any more on the public hearing? All right, Nicole, did you want to address some of those comments?
So I guess, Sandra, I just wanted to confirm, are you talking about more open space with new neighborhoods too, not just the park? Yeah, so the town does have a requirement that they do have to provide a level of open space, or they have to pay an in lieu fee that we can use to improve our existing parks. I would say some of the newer developments, Fox Farm has a playground. The Mustang Crossing, which is going to be east of Mason Meadows, is going to do a trail system around the whole property, as well as some open space and like public play areas for the kids. The new Haga property development that's going to go in, they're going to be putting in a playground as well. So we are trying to get those in those neighborhoods too. So we do require it, or they have to pay a fee, but we're trying to get it as much as we can. And those will be owned by their HOAs. So the community can use them, but the town, you know, we have a small staff, so our concentration is our bigger parks, and so the HOAs would be maintaining those smaller parks. Let's see, Brian supports, so the rodeo grounds, again, thanking us to support that. Fence line, Phyllis, we'll talk as we get into that detail and make sure that you're part of that conversation. Yep. And yes, so to kind of correct what's going on with the two plans, this is what we have right now. This was revised after the planning commission meeting and after our conversations with the rodeo arena members to look at some areas that we can take back to our consultants to consider for rodeo parking, as well as access and driveway and all that. So we'll want to have a few more conversations with the rodeo arena board members and membership just to see if that we're on the same page. And then we would be incorporating something like this into the final park plan.
So I'm just going to address the closure of the restrooms and the fields. You know, I'm not really too sure when they've been locked. I do walk at night and the weekends, and they've been open, so I'm not really too sure when they've been locked.
They were locked last Friday.
Okay, well, we'll certainly check. We've had a changeover of staff, so it's just something to check into. So I appreciate knowing that. And I would like to read my letter, if you're okay with that.
Yeah.
So, good evening, everybody. I just absolutely love being in this community. Been here a little over 3 years. And my name's Katie Sickles. I'm the town manager, and I live at 608 Louisiana Drive here in Bayfield. So, to the Board of Trustees, leadership team, and community, today marks an interesting, exciting, and a very scary time. 5 years ago, the town invested in a park master plan that made assumptions about or had confirmed knowledge that a relocation of the rodeo arena would happen. From our understanding, the public, including the school district, was heavily involved. With every passing year, the ability to move forward, or just the first phase of Joe Stevenson Park, was predicated on the arena move first. In that same time, managers, superintendents, directors, and boards have turned over, maybe for the better and maybe not. With every passing budget and discussions with funders, there had to be a clear path forward to the current plan or change the plan. No blame in this game. We're public officials and we talk to other public officials. But due diligence was a high priority regarding the arena deed and any long-term legal challenges regarding property ownership. Armed with its due diligence behind us, the park master plan required a change. Town staff requested public input for the revised plan. From my experience, regardless of the input, there will always be gaps, no matter what. There's always somebody that didn't know about it. In the case of the recent park master plan process, the gaps are fairly small in comparison to many of the public processes I've been involved in. The last couple of years, the board has allowed budgets to reflect competitive salaries to recruit police officers, hire a community development director, retain park staff, hire a qualified senior center coordinator, and hire competent admin staff. The loss of 2 parks and rec directors in the last year is a real wake-up call. All park and recreation operations are in the general fund, along with police, protection, and senior center operations. Here we are with Park Plan D, 1990s, or 2018, or now, or Z, or something that's still not engineered, and more importantly, not funded. The Board of Trustees have adopted the initial steps to request a sales tax to fund park development and support park operations. Even with this proposed sales tax, the general fund budget will be required to cut $500,000 from expenditures to keep operations within expected revenues. The board and staff understand this important task and are moving forward. If the sales tax fails, everything is on the table. Reducing police protection, closing the senior center, drying up parks, closing playgrounds, reducing customer service hours of operation, eliminating youth and adult sports programs, cutting community support, downgrading applications to essentials, and slashing legal support. This is not a threat, but real solutions to balancing the budget. And of course, we just had a budget work session yesterday, our second one. So here we are debating something that is still a pipe dream, or in support of this. Funding any improvement to the park, let alone a separate arena, is not possible, not within the current budget. Grant award for a town property will be difficult and almost impossible for the arena property that is secured under a reversion deed. I would like to propose to this group, you're just as much as part of this community, whether you're in or out of town, to consider a park sales tax with the increase to fund park development and operations, including arena improvements. The annual estimated revenue for the arena development improvements would be based on the ballot percentage, and we haven't come up with that yet. I'm not going to bore you with the details. However, a formal agreement would be required for such an arrangement to ensure accountability by both town, school district, arena, and most of all, the will of the electorate. This sounds like a great idea, and the minute the ballot language is at a status levels for voter approval, which will be September 5th, all promotion or opposition from the town or staff funds is silenced by law. As arena supporters, heritage enthusiasts, families with active children, and public for pickleball, your voices in or out of town will make a difference to the electorate. We want parks, recreation, and a place for senior citizens, and this audience wants an arena and support for community events. So I challenge you all to come along with us. More events, regardless of park arena. We can't build a park with money we don't have to get money that we're expecting. But once we have the park built, the arena improved, all the things that we really want. More events, regardless of park, arena, or community, translate to people in town eating, drinking, shopping, and staying, and this translates to business opportunity, along with sales tax generation. So although the town carries his son-in-law's name, Joe Stevenson, what a great tribute it would be to Charlie Martin's Boot and Saddle Shop on Mill Street to reinvigorate the arena and with an infusion of funds and create a unique destination in this town. So on this, I have basically a 1.5% sales tax, a 1% sales tax, and a 0.5% sales tax. And this is something that the board will be debating, discussing on the 5th, and that's our last opportunity to basically pass a ballot initiative to go to the voters. And you may be out of town, but we know that you shop in town, and we know that there's a lot of things you do in town. So you have a voice whether you're in or out of town. I've been part of local government for a long time, and I saw an initiative in another community where they had out-of-town people basically in support of a property tax. And property tax is really tough to pass. And it was very successful because those out of town understood how important it was to the municipality that they supported. So thank you, Mayor. I'll turn it to you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Katie.
At this time, I will go ahead and close the public hearing, and we'll resume our regular scheduled program. We'll move on to our financial action agenda. I have an inkling most of you are here for item 4G on the agenda, so I'm going to ask if there's any public input on A through F at this time, and then we will have all the public input pertaining to item 4G when we get there. All right, seeing none. We'll move on to our July 2023 financial statements. Kathy.
Okay. The financial statements that are in tonight's packet are current through July 31st. In the general fund, we are pretty close to having all of the property taxes collected. We're at like 98% or something. We may get a few more dollars from some of the late payers. We've received payment for the second quarter of the HIDA grant reimbursement, and you'll see that next month, because this month it didn't show anything, but you'll see that on next month's financials. A reimbursement request has been submitted for the second quarter of the community policing grant and for the $25,000 patrol vehicle grant. Mike has worked really hard, and we've gotten those caught up, and so we should be receiving those funds anytime. At the end of July, we had only expended $3,200 of the $10,000 that we put in the budget for community funding, just so you're aware. In the general fund, the police department's overtime continues to be a little on the high side, but overall, their payroll fund is in okay shape. It's in good shape. In the sewer fund, sewer fees and I&I fees are trending as anticipated. Overtime is running a little high in that department as well, but their entire payroll is fine. In the water fund, water sales are at 55%, so water sales are a little on the low side. Penalties and interest for late billings, on the other hand, are really high at almost 95%. Overall, the funds, we've earned $45,566.70 in interest for the month of July. We budgeted $51,500 over the 7 funds for the entire year. And at the end of July, we've collected $262,153 in interest this year.
Nice.
At 500, so we're about 509% above what was budgeted. And then just on another note, the grant for the shared use path, I had submitted a grant reimbursement request way back in June for that. And I finally got a call Thursday from CDOT that grant request has been moved forward for payment. So we should receive that here shortly too. That's it.
Any questions for Kathy? If none, I would entertain a motion to approve the July 2023 financial statement.
Madam Mayor, I'd like to make a motion to approve the July 2023 financial statement.
I'll second.
Okay.
All right, any further discussion? Roll call.
Trustee Cesaro.
Yes.
Trustee Hartz.
Yes.
Trustee Moreland.
Yes.
Trustee Thomas.
Yes.
Trustee Wolf.
Yes.
Trustee Ah.
Yay.
And Mayor Tarkington.
Yes. Sales tax report is in your packet. Unless you have any questions, we'll move on to utility, police department body camera system.
When I first took over a couple months ago, officer safety was a primary focus of what I had for all of our officers. What I noticed inside of our vehicles and our body-worn cameras, because we need to get in compliance with Senate Bill 217, we have body-worn cameras that are antiquated. We have in-car cameras that are held by duct tape, and these are not matching systems. The cars do not talk to the body-worns. So that's a big safety issue when our officers have someone in custody. The cameras are not talking to each other. And these cameras here are a big safety liability. If you've read a lot of the reports with Nationwide, these get knocked off during incidents, and they don't record the full capacity. Lieutenant Tischer, when he was here, did an awesome job in researching a system to go to, and he was awarded a $25,500 grant for body-worn cameras for us to come in compliance. That being said, the system that he went to is utility. Utility, I met with their distributor, and we talked at length on how it would benefit Bayfield Police Department. Their cameras for body-worn are sewn inside the shirts. All you see is the lens. They cannot be knocked off in a struggle. They can't be fall off in a run or anything like that. The body-worn talks to the in-car camera. If the officer has somebody in custody and this camera is activated, as soon as he gets within 100 feet of the car activates. And the car has 2 cameras, one in the front that looks out and documents everything in front of the car, and it has a camera focused on the back seat to document what the subject is doing while they're in custody. This system also has features that others do not have, where they have a holster alarm and a taser holster alarm. If an officer moves to pull his gun, it automatically activates. He doesn't have to think twice about turning on. The camera turns on automatically. Same for the taser. If an officer gets into a physical struggle, he doesn't have to stop to turn it on. The camera recognizes that, activates immediately. Same thing for a foot pursuit. I'm very familiar with Axon and WatchGuard, because I had that at my previous department, WatchGuard is a decent one, but they have not made the upgrades to be fully safe for officers. They also don't have an officer down system. This system here, if an officer falls down, has an issue, and he's laying down on the ground, it will activate a GPS code to everybody that has our system, and it will go live to dispatch. So the dispatcher can see what that officer is seeing. It also allows us inside to go live in the cars to see what the other officers are encountering. We do not have any of those capabilities right now. These systems don't talk to each other. I have 4 cars that have in-car cameras out of 9. All of our officers do have body worns, but none of us have the same systems. So when we download, we have to download to a hard drive, then give Amber a copy of a Fire Stick that has a video on for evidence, which is not good because now we're transitioning from the pure data to a not so pure and then into another system. It's not good. She also does not have any redaction capabilities, which is required by Senate Bill 217. Utility has a full redaction system in it. So we've already reviewed it. We saw the redaction. She did a test with the redaction. It allows her to do everything for Cora. Our current system does not allow us to be with Cora, which is the Freedom of Information Act for Colorado. So we are barely in compliance because we do have them, but to be completely in compliance and to have full officer safety, we need to switch to a full system that is integrated between body worns and our cars and is capable for us to meet full compliance with the Senate bill.
Questions, comments? And we see the breakdown there is over a,
Yeah, it's on page 79. And it's an initial deposit, and then every year after for 5 years, there's an additional amount. That's what equals the 107.
So am I clear that there's $25,500 grant?
That is correct.
Awarded for the first 43,000. But this agreement does not have the Tabor statement regarding, this is a lease, it's not a purchase. And so I'm waiting for, that Tabor statement would have to be under this agreement to even consider this.
I mean, I don't think we have a choice. It's about compliance and abiding by new laws that are coming out, so.
And that's what they did with the grant. They tried to be fair amongst smaller agencies statewide when we all applied. We applied for the full 50, but everybody got a piece of the pie in order to try to get smaller departments in compliance.
Do we have any money in the budget in 2023 to make up the remainder of what would be owed after the grant?
Currently, right now, with the change from Marshal's office to Police Department, and we're going to be short in receiving the $225,000 in grant revenue. We're expecting maybe $100,000, so we're kind of now rolling closer to even revenue and expenditures, especially for this. So,
Corey, can you hawk any of that old equipment on your site?
I could try.
So is it possible that this might have to roll into 24 budget?
Well, it is in the 2024 budget. That's the budget
Okay.
that we're having trouble fiscally responsible.
Yeah. And which fund is this under?
It's in the general fund.
It is in the general fund.
I've considered calling it a capital improvement. As we stated last night, capital improvements are not near the issue that these operations are, but I think that would be a conversation with our auditor. And I'm going to ask Kathy basically to provide an RFP to go out for a new auditor. So, those are questions we'll have to they'll still answer our questions, but.
I mean, I definitely like the idea of being in compliance and officer safety, of course. Well, go figure, I'd say that.
One of the primary differences between WatchGuard and utility is a service agreement, and they are mandated by our contract to replace any broken equipment. And if they update the system in 2 years, they have to come out and replace all of our systems with the updated systems without our cost, no extra cost. If we do WatchGuard, we own everything. If it breaks, If it's not under warranty, we pay for it. Transfers from car to car, we got to pay for everything. So that's why we looked at the service agreement. We don't own anything, so if it breaks, they have to replace it.
Having worked in service agreements for facilities through my bank, I totally get that, and I actually like that. I prefer that over owning them for those very reasons. Plus, technology is always improving, and so, you know, you want to stay up with the technology for that kind of stuff. So, I mean, I like this idea. We just have to figure out how to pay for it.
And Katie, is your concern for Tabor having to do with the limitation on the town to only be able to commit fiscally within the budget year?
That's correct.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I don't know, am I hearing from the board, what's the temperature of the board, move forward on this, and is that, I mean, like I said, I don't think we really have a choice to be compliant.
We have to figure out how to pay for it too.
What's the difference with the watch, what's the other product?
Well, we just don't own it, or we
Right.
own it, and we have to
But
fix
I'm
it.
just as far as
Financially?
cost-wise, yeah.
Cost-wise, they are very similar in costs for total packages.
What do the other municipalities here in our region, do we know what they use in Durango or in
Some are
Pagosa,
at
Ignacio?
counties using WatchGuard right now. I don't know what Durango's actually using. Some use Axon, which is they own Taser, so a lot of them do that. I have called out to 2 departments that use this. One is St. Louis County, one of the largest police departments in the country. They are using this now because everything is, the dispatchers can look at the screen and see where everybody is, which is very important in our day and age when officers are out and about. Baldwin County, Alabama, where I was familiar with, their agency has been using it for years and have nothing but high regard for this program or for these systems. Based upon its utilization, it cannot be knocked off your body. It's always ready to be activated. It goes back 30 seconds automatically to get the pre-record. It doesn't get the audio until you actually hit it, but it does get pre-record. So in a liability sense, it covers not only the department, it covers the town for liability reasons. And I don't know, Katie had a little more information on that Idaho Falls issue, that lawsuit. I know about the Atlanta one. These were all body-worn cameras that were knocked off and did not document. All they had was audio. So these type of body-worns eliminate that problem. So we'll always have a good video on every incident we are encountering.
For the system of dispatch knowing where the officers are, would there be any limitations, being that there's areas where there's no phone service, there's no internet service?
The cars come with their own Wi-Fi capabilities, so that's how they feed from the body worns to the in-cars, and then when they hit a system, it downloads to the government cloud, and we don't have to buy a server, unlike we would have to for WatchGuard. So that's the other IT capabilities that we have there, is that they fully support everything from their office or their complex where they're located. So everything is live feed, it's live download. If something happens right now, I can get it within 10 minutes and put it out.
So, I mean, I guess, Katie, we'd have to revisit this and have it. we'd have to have that.
I'm not comfortable approving the document that's in the packet right now, just because, you know, we can't secure a lease for longer than 1 year, or fiscal budget year, so.
Okay. But
I think this is a great system.
Direction
We
to
need something
proceed.
where it sounds
Direction to
like
find
we
out,
don't even have enough cameras in all of our cars or for all of our officers, so we need to be doing something.
Right, if we do a DUI stop, we don't even get the probable cause, we don't get any of that. And if there's anything that happens outside the car, we really don't get any of that. The body worns, we just had one get knocked off the other day that did not document the situation, but luckily the other officers did. So it's one of those things, is that for our protection, and since I only have one officer on most of the time, and their closest backup may be 30 minutes away, having the capability for the dispatcher to look live to see what's going on is very, very important.
Especially if they're like in a scuffle and
Yep.
something's going on and going down, or they pull their gun out or something like that, and don't have time to call backup or
Right.
anything like that.
Usually both hands are occupied, you're not gonna be
Yeah.
able to call, but the dispatcher's gonna be able to see it,
Right.
go live, and dispatch for you.
Right.
So is there training for dispatch?
Yes, there will. They will. Utility will come here, install everything,
Mm-hmm.
train everyone, and go to Durango Dispatch
Mm-hmm.
and make sure everything's installed there and provide training for them.
Okay.
So Katie, do you need a motion, or can we just give, is that good enough direction to proceed with?
If you could just give me direction to approve this one, I feel, and send it to Town Attorney Goldman, for any review of, because I wasn't prepared to send this to him at this
okay.
time, because I just feel it didn't have what I felt was appropriate in Colorado, so.
Then that's direction to proceed with utility. And then would it come back to us for a vote?
Would you like it back? That's up to you.
Or are we okay to move forward here?
No, I think with the budget issue, I would like to revisit.
Yeah, I want it back
Okay.
to the, so, okay, I just Googled Axon top public safety body cams. Why are you going just with this brand and not other brands?
I researched all three of them.
Okay, and what about them? Do you know
Axon?
any- Yeah, do you know anything about them?
They still have the similar system to WatchGuard where everything's external.
Mm-hmm.
And I didn't like that fact because of the lawsuits of people getting their cameras knocked off their bodies. And everybody has the same cost in general for these full systems. And I really didn't want to own the property. I wanted to make sure that we were getting the updated stuff when it came out, and then by contract or the service agreement, utility has to replace it when they get upgrades.
So the one thing, you've made a really good point, trustee, is that maybe anything over $10,000 should have 3 quotes. So maybe we get a quote from, the other 2, just so you have the 2 others to take a look at and review. That is a requirement, but you certainly have authority to make different decisions.
All right, so we will revisit this at a,
Could you table it maybe until the 19th? That would be right after our budget work session.
on the 19th? Okay, I would entertain a motion to table till the 19th. Is that the right date?
I will make that motion to table our body camera system discussion until after our budget meeting on the 19th.
September 19th, sorry.
Huh?
September.
19th, yeah.
What did I say?
Nothing. You just said the
Oh,
19th.
the 19th? Oh, just the 19th, September 19th, 2023.
I'll second that.
All right, roll call, please.
Trustee Zazzaro.
Yes.
Trustee Hartz.
Yes.
Trustee Moreland.
Yes.
Trustee Thomas.
Yes.
Trustee Wolf.
Yes.
Trustee Ah.
Yay.
And Mayor Tarkington.
Yes. All right, moving on to our police vehicle purchase. You want to talk about the Dodge?
Yes, like I said, when I took over back in May, our fleet was very outdated. We had a couple cars that were costing thousands of dollars to repair. We put the 2012 Durango, I guess, to rest. We got rid of it. I have a 2011 Durango that's still sitting out there. We won't drive it because it's not in very good condition. We have a 2016 Dodge Charger that's not in good condition, but it still runs. So we could not find any fleet vehicles because Ford decided to stop making fleet vehicles. So we couldn't find any Explorers. We couldn't find any, and I wasn't going to go to Tahoes. Tahoes are super expensive, and they have
Somebody's phone recording?
the Tahoes are really expensive. And they had some issues this year where they were breaking down and they were warranty work and stuff like that. So we did some other research. We found some Ford F-150s, but at the same time, I also put our name on the Kansas Highway Patrol fleet vehicle list. I've been affiliated with the Kansas Highway Patrol vehicles since about 2010. And what it is, Kansas Highway Patrol sells every one of their vehicles, whether it's an admin vehicle or patrol vehicle, at 49,500 miles, whether it needs it or not. And they're all fully serviced, and they come almost fully equipped. So I signed up for their site to get a Dodge Durango, and it was supposed to be 8 months out. Well, it took 6 weeks. I didn't expect it. It was not supposed to start until, or get us on the list or get us available one until after January. But they called 2 weeks ago and said, hey, you want a granite one? It was the commander's vehicle. It's got all the interior lights. It's got everything but a radio in it. Do you want it for $31,000? I said, well, let me ask. So I asked Katie, is this something we want to do? Cancel out our cancel one of our vehicles for the 2024 budget, which was estimated at 70, to buy a new one and get it all completely outfitted, or get one for 32 that's going to last us 5 to 6 years, and it's almost completely outfitted already. So that's what I was asking, is to eliminate the one from next year, and get one at almost half the cost that's ready for the road already.
We like that.
Sounds like we just paid for utility in 2024. Although I think we already talked about this last night.
Any questions on that?
And I'm assuming that we're also jumping on this because it was so difficult to get any vehicles as well.
And this Dodge Durango is a PPV vehicle. Those vehicles, that's a police pursuit vehicle. The ones we have that we just purchased are capable of having all the equipment installed, but not really rated for police vehicles. But I don't think our officers need to go over 55 miles an hour anyway, because otherwise you'll go from one end of town to the other in 2 minutes. So we are going to, and I talked to Katie, we're going to stay on this Kansas Highway Patrol list, because that you can, once you get one, doesn't mean you're done forever. You can just go back to the bottom of the list, and if it comes up again, we'll be able to purchase these vehicles at half the cost of a new one. And we're going to try to stay on that lane, replacing our vehicles as they need to be replaced. And it'll save the town in the long run a lot of money for purchase of new vehicles. And they come full, almost with warranty still from Dodge, and they're only 2 years old.
And Katie, we have the money in the budget for this
So
year?
this would require a budget supplement, but then we're going to reduce our 2024 budget by $70,000. So
And that's in the general fund?
that's correct.
Okay.
Well, any savings we can do in the
Yes.
general
Yes.
fund.
Yes.
All right, we
what's
need
that,
a motion if
70,000 to
everybody's
the
ready to move
500?
forward.
Madam Mayor, I'd like to make a motion to approve the purchase and remove a second vehicle considered for 2024.
I'll second that.
All right, any further discussion?
I just want to commend you on finding this
Oh, thank
and
you.
finding a solution that is cheaper, so good job.
Thank you.
All right, roll call.
Trustee Cesaro.
Yes.
Trustee Hartz.
Yes.
Trustee Moreland.
Yes.
Trustee Thomas.
Yes.
Trustee Wolf.
Yes.
Trustee Ah.
Yay.
And Mayor Tarkington.
Yes. All right, moving on to our Pine River Senior Center handicap restroom doors. Is this you, Joe?
Yeah,
Yeah, so the senior center has 2 doors to the restrooms. They're really difficult, they're real heavy to push open. We would like to make those ADA compliant so that they will be signaled to open and close, and we're not saving our mature adults out of the restroom. So we did get a bid that is in your packet. And this is a company that we have worked with in the past. I'm just going to get to that page. Sunglass from Farmington. The cost is $6,285.60. We would like to do that this year. Because of the need, we are increasing usership of the senior center. And there are some capital improvements that we won't do in the general fund. So this probably will not require a budget supplement.
Are these doors the kind where they can push the button and it opens for them? Is that what you meant by? Okay, thank you, Joe. He shook his head yes, for those that you weren't looking.
Yeah, there's a couple pictures on page 88.
Well, there's, yeah, and I don't
it's
see
kinda
like a
hard
little
to see
button or
it, but
anything, yeah.
All right, does the board have any questions, comments?
Is this part of the, what's budgeted for the renovation?
No, we're at the end of our renovation budget, but this would be in capital improvements we budgeted for other general fund items that we're not going to do this year.
Okay.
But capital improvement's not where we're having issues.
Yep.
Madam Mayor, I'd like to make a motion to authorize the town manager to execute the quote and proceed with senior center handicap doors.
I'll second that.
All right, we have a motion and a second. Roll call, please.
Trustee Cesaro.
Yes.
Trustee Hartz.
Yes.
Trustee Moreland.
I didn't get a chance to say them. Can we say the dollar amount?
It's $6,285.60.
I know, in the motion.
Oh, sorry.
Sure, yeah, we can add that to the minutes. Let me go back and do a roll call.
Okay. Trustee Cesaro.
Yes.
Trustee Hartz.
Yes.
Trustee Moreland.
Yes.
Trustee Thomas.
Yes.
Trustee Wolf.
Yes.
Trustee Ah.
Yay.
And Mayor Tarkington.
Yes. Pine River Senior Center parking lot crack sealing.
So I'm going to probably let either Joe or Corey address this for the senior center parking lot.
Hello, trustees, mayor, Joe, crazy. If y'all haven't met me, facility grounds. The parking lot is in dire need of some sealing with cracks. If we wait after another winter, it's just going to get worse, and it's going to cost more money. So I would say, let's repair it this year.
I mean, Corey, can you speak to that on?
Yeah, so the parking lot at the senior center has been neglected for many years. There's cracks in there that are probably about 4 inches wide. So not only, it's in dire need of crack sealing, but it also needs a surface treatment to help preserve the asphalt that's already there. Or we're just gonna be throwing money down the drain.
So if we do the crack seal,
The crack seal is gonna
I
help.
don't want to put the cart before the horse.
Well, you have to do the crack seal before you do a surface treatment.
Okay, that was my question, is if that was the order we have to do it in.
And we can't have them throw a little extra in the other crack sealing projects we're doing, and
It's already done.
That contract's already done, and as I told Katie, I would not recommend those contractors again.
okay.
Okay. That sucks.
Speaking of the contractors, I see we have one estimate from Tom's Asphalt. Do we have any other bids for that?
I didn't personally go out for the bid. That would have to be a question for Joe.
Have we used this vendor before?
Yes, we have.
Okay.
Yeah.
And they did an okay job?
Yeah, I'm not aware of what they did, so.
Yeah, it was years ago, probably 3 or 4 years ago, but he was hesitant because he had issues with who he worked with in the past, but they're not with us anymore. As of other bids, there's not very many companies that do this type of work that have great reviews, so I went with this company.
And it's under 10,000, but where is this? I mean,
So the same capital improvement that we're not going to do in 2023
Is enough to-
would cover this, but I didn't really have a chance to even review that before I put it in the packet, so.
And if I could make a suggestion, there's a ADA handicap ramp on the backside of the parking lot. I would suggest we get that fixed first, because they're gonna have to cut and remove the concrete. And then when they crack seal, they'll crack seal the edges along the concrete.
How much of that?
Yeah, is that something we can do in-house?
Wait a minute.
So I did speak with that contractor about this issue, and he said he would be willing to come back and reseal those cracks once we get those ADAs repaired.
Okay.
And replaced.
Okay.
Thank you. For how much?
Under this contract?
Okay, for free.
Under this
Okay.
contract.
Included. All right.
Okay. Any other questions, comments?
We might have some, just so we can watch them
I
get
know,
up
I
off
know.
of the
Just
chair
let 'em
again.
run
Joking.
Okay.
And she did say that was in the capital improvements.
No, there's some
hasn't
capital
been used.
improvements we're not going to do. This
Right.
$9,000 would still
Still
work
cover it.
into that. yeah.
Obviously, we want to have a safe
But it's,
parking lot
it's
for our
your,
seniors.
yeah, it's under your authority to change one capital improvement for another.
there's no further questions, I would entertain a motion.
Madam Mayor, I will make a motion to authorize the town manager to execute the quote and proceed with the, oh, I'm reading the wrong one, sorry. I guess it's the same thing,
Yeah,
to
crack ceiling.
execute the quote and proceed with the senior center parking lot crack ceiling in the amount of $9,181.
I'll second that.
All right, any further discussion? Roll call, please.
Trustee Cesaro.
Yes.
Trustee Hartz.
Yes.
Trustee Moreland.
Yes.
Trustee Thomas.
Yes.
Trustee Wolf.
No.
Trustee Ah.
Yay.
And Mayor Tarkington.
Yes. All right.
Joe, can you make sure when he does this that he gets something in writing that says he'll come back at no charge? Thank you.
All right, we're moving on to Bayfield Heritage Day's request for fee assistance. Katie, do you want to kick this one off, or?
So the board adopted a fee schedule that included equipment and staff. That was adopted the 18th of July. A resolution goes, it was adopted by a resolution. A resolution goes into effect when it's adopted. We have information that they were going to use to have the Heritage Days, but we have an incomplete application for the actual event. I guess a couple days ago, we got the liquor license, the special event finalized. So we were just, I think there was a lot of chasing down to guess what we were going to be doing for this event. So from what I understand, I did look at the application this afternoon. We still have an incomplete application for the event, including parade and some other things.
Does the board have any questions on that, or?
When was the initial incomplete application submitted?
I have it dated on the June 7th
Okay.
of 2023, but it's not complete.
Okay, not complete, okay.
I'm going to go ahead and open it up for public input. Keep in mind, I do want to avoid the back and forth. We'll take your comments, we'll take your questions, and we'll address those. So please feel free to state your name and address for the record, and you have the floor.
Phyllis Rhodes, 391 County Road 520. I'm the one that started this application. I wasn't aware until last week that this application was incomplete. The beer tent was up for grabs. I mentioned that last week. We didn't have to have it. But I do want to say thank you to everyone for showing up in support. The town of Bayfield for allowing us time on the agenda to discuss these newly approved resolution affecting the fees to Bayfield Heritage Days and sheep trailing. I want to make it clear that this is not a personal or personnel issue with me. We all have a job to do, and it comes with making tough decisions. We are all here because we care about Bayfield, Colorado. We're a tight-knit community. Sometimes we feel like a large family, and with that, we don't always agree. If we're not listening to each other with empathy and respect, we can't grow as individuals nor as a community. I ask that we be respectful and listen to each other, first of all. But now I want to take a few minutes to give you a little background on Bayfield Heritage Days and sheep trailing. It was started 23 years ago with a small group of volunteers and nonprofits seeing the need to share sheep trailing and ranching traditions with the newcomers in the area. The Lassiter family started this event. For generations, they took their sheep up to the high country in the spring, brought them back in the fall or late summer. And in 2010, J. Paul Brown became a part of this event and continues to share his family ritual. These family traditions grew into a parade and annual event, an event that the town has always put on their calendar. with no questions asked. We've operated this on our own with local volunteers and nonprofits. And we know that the town works on a budget. We all do. So we've never expected nor requested funds or personnel from the town for Bayfield Heritage Days. The restrooms at Joe Stevens were open the morning of. Jay and I took it upon to meet with representatives of the town the Friday before the event, and we just made sure that all the expectations were there. The restrooms, the trash cans, the trash liners, TP, access to cleaning supplies, all that stuff. And at the end of the day, it was our responsibility to make sure everything was locked up and cleaned up and put away. With this event, we have a small parade. The barricades were left on the street Friday. We would put them up, take them down after the parade because it's so small. So the need for a town employee really wasn't necessary. Law enforcement has never been needed in the past. We understand the need for public safety. I can recall the year that local fire and law enforcement encouraged us to cancel the events due to lightning in the area. We canceled all the events for that whole day, and an hour later the sun came out and it was a beautiful day. We had a lot of upset people. The recent approval of these resolutions, 572, 573, and 574, have attached fees to all town facilities for non-town sponsored events. In this process, we were in conversation with Ryan and Andrea for months. Yes, I put in the application beginning of June. In this resolution, I'd like to read a couple of spots. Whereas the following policy by resolution for facility and park rental fees may be amended from time to time by the town board as required. Now therefore it be resolved by the town board of trustees in the town of Bayfield, Colorado, that the attached facility park and rental fee schedule is adopted, effective upon adoption, with the exception of any current verbal or written contract. And that was on July 18th, 2023. So with that, and again, let us not forget that the town has always put this on the town event. So we'd like for all of the fees for 2023 to be waived this year. And we want to know what our future fees will be in the years in the future. Because the future of Bayfield Heritage Days is contingent on what happens here. We make no money on this event. Our budget is like $1,000. Trying to put in an event with music and advertising for $1,000 is pretty hard. The parade is so small, we don't charge an entry fee. The only money we make is off vendor fees and t-shirts like every 2 years. And we have to keep our vendor fees low because nobody wants to show up for 3 to 4 hours for a much smaller crowd than 4th of July. We've tried to merge farmers market and ask them to come to our event. They don't want to come because the town of Bayfield requires a business license for special events, and that cuts into their profit. And while they're over at Pine River Church, they don't have to do that. Again, all the little money we get goes to entertainment and advertising. I just want you to understand how these fees are going to impact and possibly destroy Bayfield Heritage Days and sheep drilling. In closing, I'd like us to remember why we chose Bayfield, Colorado as our home. We have one thing in common. We are all part of this community. Community events should not have fees attached to them. My request of this town board is to preserve one of our greatest resources, ranching and farming, along with preserving our local history. The future of ranching and farming depends on all of us working together. Waive all these fees for 2023 and years to come if we commit to no fees for the town. The future of Bayfield Heritage Days and sheep trailing depends on your decision. I want to thank you for your time.
Thank you. Okay.
Hi, Veronica Lassiter, 5415 County Road 523. Thank you for your time tonight, and thank you for your service to Bayfield. Like I stated, my name is Veronica Lassiter, and I wasn't raised in Bayfield, but I was lucky enough to meet and marry a Bayfield native. I married into a sheep ranching family that I'm so proud to stand shoulder to shoulder with members of this ranching community. My mother and father-in-law started the Bayfield Heritage Days and sheep trailing event in 2000 after deciding to share their wonderful tradition of sheep trailing with the community. It was with the intention of offering such a unique experience and tradition so many would not otherwise get to witness in their lifetime. They also believed that it would be a great community event in the fall, since there's not a lot that goes on in the fall in Bayfield. My first visit to Bayfield was a sheep trailing weekend, and the airline lost my luggage. I was here trying to impress my in-laws, and that was horrible. It's one of the very things that makes Bayfield so special and unique, and honestly, it's my favorite day of the year. You've heard a request on behalf of the Bayfield Heritage Days Committee tonight that I hope you will seriously consider. The Bayfield Heritage Days and sheep trailing event is not, nor was ever intended to be, a profit-making event, and it is for the sole purpose to bring Bayfield together and honor the history that our area was founded upon, agriculture. I understand there are financial needs the town is struggling to meet, but I hope you'll consider this request for this year and remember the uniqueness this event brings to Bayfield and vote to preserve those very things. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Anyone else?
Hi folks, Marion Tone, 1495 County Road 526, and although I'm from a cattle ranching family locally, we completely support Bayfield Heritage and Sheep Trailing Days. It was started, as you know now, 23 years ago. I came here permanent, full-time, in the recovery days from Missionary Ridge Fire. The first Bayfield event that I participated in was Heritage Days, and it meant the world to me to understand a lot of the heritage that is part of this community. Since marrying into the Tone family, I've realized it's not only sheep that trail through the town, but not that long ago, Alan would bring the cows down Mill Street as he took them out to pasture in Gem Village. So there's a lot of history here. This is such a key part of the community building. In our community, Carol Blatnick cannot be here today. A lot of you know her, but she asked me to pass along that she was on the board when it was initially approved, back before many of us in this room today lived here, and that it was really a community event, a volunteer event, and so important to help preserve and enhance and promote the heritage of this community. I've spent some time, not as much as I should have, but I spent some time with the development director this year working on the comp plan and several of the members of the community that are here today. One of the themes that came out of those year-long work sessions was how do we enhance, preserve, and promote the agricultural heritage of Bayfield. This is the #1 event that does that. I think that there should be a fee waiver. I don't think there should be assistance, which is what's listed on your agenda. I think my request to you would be to look at the big picture. I know money is tight. We've all been listening to it tonight. But this is one of those events that, as we say, generates its own wave of momentum. We bring people into town. These are all volunteers. Nobody gets paid to do any of this work. We bring people into town on that day for the event itself. Those people are spending money on sales tax. Those people are spending money at the retail shops, at the restaurants, at the gas stations, and more importantly, they're looking around. They're looking around to see who the neighbors will be if they move here, if they bring their kids to live here, if they bring their parents to live here. They're looking around at what makes this community so special. So if you start looking at the big picture instead of just the dollars and cents related to opening the bathrooms or whatever on that day, I think you'll see that this is really a beneficial event without stifling it with a fee. Primary impacts, people come into town. Secondary impacts, the taxes that are generated. Third level impacts, because people say, hey, I want to live in a community that does this kind of thing. I keep telling you, make Bayfield special. We don't want to be Bayfield. We're 20% cheaper than Durango. We want to be Bayfield. Whether we're calling that where the stars shine bright or the heart of the Pine River Valley, we want to be Bayfield. And if you squelch this event, you're squelching the heart of Bayfield. I've seen advertisements, I've seen websites, I've seen blogs on 10K sites, on car collector sites, on Jeep enthusiast sites, on travel sites, everywhere all over the Durango websites. The Southern Ute Drum everywhere promotes this event. It really brings together the community, and I'll just say from personal experience, we see the alumni come back to Bayfield for Heritage Days. We see it for 4th of July too. But they come back to Bayfield for Heritage Days. Once they have little kids, they bring the little kids back with them. This is a real community builder. Please don't make it harder than it already is. Thank you.
Carol McWilliams, 4334 County Road 509, yet another out-of-towner, and we do participate in the town. We are in town a lot. We pay sales tax in town, supporting the businesses and the restaurants. I have been involved with Heritage Day since it first started in 2000 with Jerry Lassiter, and there was a lady who lived up in Forest Lakes who was a weaver and was also involved with it, and there were some other local fiber arts people who were involved with it. And it's always been a very small committee of unpaid volunteers who have made this whole thing happen for the benefit of the community. And it was a week ago, this past Monday, I think it was the 7th, we were just getting down to crunch time. It's getting close to the event, which will be on September 30th. And all of a sudden, we were advised about all these fees. And I'm the keeper of the checkbook for the event. We have $1,900 in the checking account to cover expenses like music and advertising, and if we have to pay for porta potties and this whole bunch of fees, which looked like it was going to be around $800 plus porta potties if we have to do that. And immediately our planning stopped a week ago Monday, until we found out how this was going to resolve. It was like, well, do we just give up on the whole thing? Or do we pay these fees and run the checking account down to zero and that's the end of it? Or what do we do? And so that's why we're here tonight.
Thank you.
Good evening, Annalise Lassiter, 6855 County Road 523. I just wanted to echo a lot of the sentiments previously mentioned, my mom and dad started the event along with Carol McWilliams, Phyllis, Dennis Hillier, and Deb Janis and Joe Woods were part of the original committee. And they did that actually initially because the town had hired independent consultants to do some sort of like study on economic revitalization. They had the Fourth Festival and they had a Christmas festival. And other than that, there were big gaps in the revenue. And so there was a conversation held with the town manager at the time after this independent contractor recommended having a fall and a spring event, every season a big event. And the town manager at the time got together with my folks, and we came up with this idea, and then through a small committee of volunteers has been iterated, it was born. But the town does benefit incredibly as people visit here from really all over the country, and whether they're deciding to retire here, whether they're a town alum like me that just relocated from Los Angeles, and as I'm coming here deciding whether I want to raise my kids in LA or Bayfield, you come to these events and you really get the chance to see the vibrance of this community. But it's as much about celebrating the heritage as it is about expanding the town, because there are tax dollars, and particularly if you're going to be funding projects not on ad valorem taxes but on sales tax revenue, that boost in sales tax revenue can come from events like this. And if it ceases to exist, there's an entire gap between the 4th of July and, the Christmas. And again, these are volunteers. I don't think it. So it potentially is worth doing an analysis a little bit more on what the ancillary benefits are to the town, because I think if that's taken in consideration, I do agree that it would be, incredibly short-sighted to have the event not be able to continue. Thanks.
Hi, I'm Molly Orndorff. I live at 287 Meadows Circle. I actually wasn't even going to speak tonight, but just sitting here listening to everyone's comments. I just wanted to say that I'm originally from Pennsylvania. We moved out here 20 years ago, and the first time I was almost late for work because I got stuck in the sheep. I was like, where did we move to, and what is going on? And I was calling work like, wait, did I have a cell phone then 20 years ago? Maybe not. So I feel like that's what you think of when you think of Bayfield. You think of sheep everywhere, and then navigating around the poop the day after when they go through. And but I was sitting here thinking, we're trying to, like the park sales tax, I think is a great idea to fund, improving Joe Stevenson Park. Well, what if within that tax we had a chunk that went to waiving fees for community events that are over 20 years old? I feel like we could have a way to help keep this event going. And sorry, I get really nervous when I'm speaking in front of people.
You're doing great.
As the spouse of someone who ran the events for lots of years, this was the one event that he was like, yes, I don't have to do anything with this. They just do it. So if we keep it in that fashion and figure out a way that it works for everybody, because I do understand the need for fees, but if the event managers and volunteers can do what's needed to keep the event going, and then maybe have that fee that would be charged, but it could be covered by something else from the town. I don't know, just thinking outside the box. But yeah, it would be sad to see it go, because the other thing is, from what I remember, when 4th of July fireworks get canceled because of fires, they're usually for Heritage Days, because by that time, usually we get enough rain. Not this year. But that's the other thing. I think people count on those fireworks. We don't have them for 4th of July, so it's just another thing that the community really likes. So thank you.
Thank you.
I'm Richard Grossman from 800 Hartwood Lane. Who here would like to adopt a sheep? You guys are in the minority, because there are hundreds of people who adopt sheep on Heritage Days. My wife and I belong to the local Rotary Club, and we allow people to make donations to adopt a sheep, and the red ram and the blue ewe, which are colored by J. Paul Brown or some associates, are the winners. That money is one of the largest money makers for our Rotary Club, and that money stays here to help folks here in Bayfield. So by getting rid of Heritage Days, you will actually be hurting some of the kids, especially here in Bayfield.
Do you want to talk? You want me to? Okay. Kayla Patterson, 43 Brookside Trail, Bayfield, Colorado. Thank you for the opportunity to keep this in your attention. I know it's been in your attention, so thank you again for hearing all of us. Bayfield Heritage Days, again, 23 years old. This is like Christmas every year. We know it's happening. This is not a surprise to anyone. Most residents look forward to it. The event brings in people from all over the Four Corners to our beautiful slice of Colorado to celebrate, spend money, reminisce, enjoy small town festivities. It would be a real shame if we weren't able to have this annual event because of a fee schedule. Not only that, but what about our annual Independence Day event? Some of the 5K runs that take place here, most of these are fundraisers for nonprofits. Does the town of Bayfield intend to stop these fundraisers with a new fee schedule? Please remember that this is Bayfield. We are not Durango, and several of us, myself included, do not live in Durango on purpose. I would hate to see things like this disappear because my town government has failed us. Please don't turn us into Ouray, Telluride, or Durango. Again, we know that this event happens on a volunteer basis, and as mentioned multiple times tonight, the volunteers take care of this. They have a very small budget, and that budget is already taken up by the very few things that are able to be paid for during this event. As you can see, I have a toddler on my hip, and she would like to see the sheep come through this year and next year. Promise that she's not going to let her jump on them, although she would like to try. So please keep this. If anything, we can grandfather this into Heritage Days. We can grandfather this into the town and to the cost. There's no reason for this event to cost the town money or to cost them money. Do you want to say something? Did you say I want to see the sheep?
Oh, darn.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
We wanted to hear from her.
Anyone else? I'll turn it over to board discussion, but first I want to chime in. I just want to talk a little bit about kind of the history of these decisions that we've recently had to make. And, about 3 or 4 years ago, it got really cool to plow cars through little small town parades and mow a bunch of people over. And at the time, our Bayfield marshal said, that's not going to be us. It was happening in towns smaller than Bayfield. We said, we really need to up our security game. We need to invest in some barricades that don't blow over in the wind. So the town plunked down and bought some barricades, and according to our insurance and our safety of our citizens, we set up these barricades to ensure that, this doesn't happen in our town. Mm-hmm. Well, that takes heavy equipment to move them. It takes our staff time to set them up. They have to be filled with water. That's a water tanker that we bring out there. And a lot of these events are happening on nights and weekends. If you have a beer garden, same thing. We were using that cheap orange netting to designate the beer drinking area. Well, according to our liability, we had to up our game on that. So we had to invest in some hardcore barriers for those kind of events and you have a beer garden, you have to have some sort of security according to our insurance. So that's where we need patrol. You know, the timing was super unfortunate. I will admit that. This is something that we have looked into for the last 2 years. We said, man, these things are actually really costing us. And the board, at the direction of the board, we asked staff to start looking into what these events are costing the town. And so we've been having these discussions, and trust me, we all sit on nonprofit boards, we all put on events in the town. We had to go and hustle $4,000 to put on block parties. And it's gonna cost us double that next year if we wanna have block parties. You know, fortunately we got some great donations from local businesses. But yeah, I hear you. It's gonna affect us, but it is our responsibility as a board to look at the financials of this town. And we were taking a huge hit doing these events. I don't wanna see this event go away. I wanna figure this out. I just also, my phone number is on my business card. My personal cell phone number is in the hallway. And feel free to call me. Before you go on Facebook, before you say that we have some sort of agenda and we want to ruin the heritage of our community, not true. It could have been a simple phone call. We have money set aside in our nonprofits that we can't even get rid of right now. We could very easily have solved this problem had somebody just called, but I agree the timing, we did not personally pick on Heritage Days and say we want to squash this event. It just happened to be the timing when we got this fee structure figured out. So this is a discussion for the board to talk about how do we resolve this. We understand the importance of this in our community. We understand the sales tax boost that this brings to our community. I love the sheep. I go down there. I participate in this event.
I've spray painted the sheep.
Yeah. So, like I said, let's have a conversation. Let's figure this out. There's ways around it. But we just kind of felt a little attacked that this was some sort of agenda, that we were trying to ruin this event. And so I encourage, and I mean, we can look at it right now where the board, we can make this decision to move forward and not just, I don't want to just waive those fees, but I think we can allocate the money that we have set aside in our budget to offset or even help with those costs above and beyond the 800 and, what was it, $4 that were?
Yeah.
850 with the deposit. It was like 854 approximately.
But in return, every event that comes through, whether it's a beer garden, a block party, there is an application process that has to be filled out, and it's not just because we love paperwork. There is a legal reason we ask everybody to fill these out. We don't have a parade route. We don't have a drawing, a concept. I mean, I had to fill it out for the Chamber of Commerce, and I was almost late doing that. We almost didn't have a beer garden, so that was on me. But, I mean, can I have staff talk about what that entails and why we need that?
There's a lot of things that entail with that and the legalities. One of them today, I did mail off the special liquor license again today. That right there is a $100 cost. Okay, now we charge $10 for that, but it's $100 on our end. And public safety is the number one concern. So when you turn in these special event forms, we have to have a parade route. We have to see where traffic needs to be stopped. We have to know on the impact on the other county and state entities' roads as well. I think Chief can speak to that a little bit more. And then, yeah, we have to have 2 officers on patrol at the same time. And then, yeah, and then the fee schedule is 2, and the quote that I did say included opening the parks and having a park and rec staff on call to help with that situation, to do the cleaning, make sure the trash is picked up, things like that. And it also include public works, putting up the barricades, taking them down, and helping out with that as well. But the maps and things that are missing out of those, it's mostly public safety concerns.
And so the other thing that is happening across the nation is that all parades require insurance. Our 4th of July parade is insured by our insurance company. If for some reason I'm not aware that Heritage Days has insurance for their parade, if something happened in that parade, you know, it has happened before, a horse gets out of control or whatever happens, And Heritage Days, they're not going to come after Heritage Days for their insurance. They're going to come after the town. So these are not expenditures that we're taking lightly. I think every staff member here wants to have Heritage Days go on. I think the thing is that we look at our own budget and like we can't afford certain things in our budget, but we're trying to and we want to cover this. It's just the matter of the risk that we're also taking in addition to staff being on when typically they would be on their time off.
Figure on that.
I'd like to comment.
Yeah, the public comment section is closed. This is a discussion with the board now. So we're gonna, sorry about that. What was left over on that grant?
It was said that 3,200 has been used of the grant, is that?
So I actually have $4,700 that was used. I just need to go back and, there must have been the $1,500 for the women's resource. It was put in the wrong bucket.
Okay.
Gotcha, okay.
So it's $4,700.
So we have 5,300 remaining.
That's, yes.
Katie, or even it could be Mr. Goldman. So when we're talking about moving barricades and the volunteers come out, what would the liability be to the town if the volunteers can't do some of these tasks that we're talking about, correct? Because this is barricades for the parade, putting out the signs. Those are all town activities that we would be covered if there was an issue or if someone pulled a back muscle or something like that. So we can't have volunteers do some of this work. It does need to be town staff. Is that a fair, correct statement?
Generally you have two issues. You have insurance issues and you have immunity issues. Under the Governmental Immunity Act, to the extent the town is aware of certain dangerous conditions that it doesn't assess and be mindful of, that's where you have an opening for someone to actually pierce that immunity that generally the town might have. And that's where your insurance company is very concerned that you do all you can to make sure that you button things up with barricades, with proper fencing, if you have a beer garden, so forth and so on. So to the extent that you can ensure or make sure that volunteers are doing things correctly, that's fine. But to the extent that it's better to have trained personnel doing certain things, that may be better. But it's a judgment call in many respects.
With a completed application.
Katie, I have another question about vendors. So I know that when we have events, block parties, what have you, we have vendors fill out forms. If they're selling food, they have to meet certain requirements from public health. I don't know how are these vendors aren't going through the town, they're going through the Heritage Days group. How are we ensuring, or how is that ensured that they're selling food that is safe?
We're not.
Okay,
It would be up to them.
that. Okay.
And like I said, if we're not taking the proper steps on our property, I've just been in these positions too long. They don't go after a nonprofit that has $1,900 in their checking account. They're going to come after the town if we haven't done, our diligence to protect the public.
So I would like the town to allocate, $1,500 from our nonprofit account to help with this event, and I would say with a completed application so that we know the route, what's happening. And I would also encourage sponsorships. Nobody's hit me up. I sponsor everything in this town. I haven't gotten a phone call. I'd be happy to write a check for Heritage Days. So,
And a complete application for the grant, so we don't set.
well, that's what I'm saying. We're waiving that and just.
Okay, gotcha.
And I would like to include that for this year only. These are not, from everybody, or almost everybody that stood up, said, don't take Heritage Days from us. We're not taking it from you. We made some really tough choices on how we were going to structure fees and how we were going to increase fees and how we were going to make it fair for everybody in town. And safe. And this is this is my favorite event of the year. There's probably not very many Bayfield people that would argue with that. But we are supporting it like we're supporting a lot of other activities in town that we can't afford anymore. It's like telling your kids, we can't get you the big present for Christmas. So please, please don't take it like this is an attack on Heritage Days. It's not. It's being fiscally responsible for our town. And it's very unfortunate timing. And I think we are trying to participate in a way that we can help you. We know it's late. We know how much work goes into this. But I just feel like I'm not trying to take Heritage Days away. And I felt that message very strongly. And I'd appreciate if you just would help us to share that with the community.
Yeah, it felt slightly like an attack on the board, whereas all we had to do is have a conversation, like the mayor said. We actually have more money than the $800 in the fees that we're willing to put towards this event to cover those costs. And 3 of us are on the chamber, and this impacts the block parties that we do too, and we voted on this, and if it impacts the Rotary, we got a Rotarian on our board. So these are all things that it was definitely not something that was specific towards one event. We voted on something that impacts the events that we're also a part of because we've added additional security and this is staff time. Yeah, I'm so glad that everyone, I mean, I'd be happy to come down and volunteer my time during Heritage Days. I volunteer my time to do things for the chamber. I feel like I volunteer my time to be fiscally responsible and plan for the safety of the town and the safety for all of your attendees at these events. We love these events. I remember I've been here for 8 years, and I remember the first time the sheep are out, and I didn't know what the heck was going on. And there's still people in this town who don't know what's going on, and that's unfortunate. And so, I mean, hopefully this was another way to get the word out about Heritage Days, but we want to support you, but instead of you hear about something and then it turns into a social media attack, all it had to be was a conversation, and here we are solving this problem. Now, we're not solving it, the money part for next year, but as the mayor said, and Brenna, I mean, we're having to raise money for the block parties, which also is something that provides entertainment for the town. I know it's not a heritage thing, but it's something that provides, something once a month in the summer between, 4th of July and then the end of the year. But we're so happy to have this, and we have a solution for this year. So there's no taking this away. It's going to continue to go on as long as this group wants to continue it.
Mm-hmm.
I would also like to say, and I think all of us are aware of what the economics have been in the last year and how they've changed from 2022 to currently, and even maybe all the way back to 2020. 9% inflation, how often does that happen in our lifetimes? Rates just skyrocketing really super fast. How often does that happen? I mean, there have been higher rates in our lives, but not where they moved from one point to another as fast, as high as they have. You can't get certain things because of supply issues. Those are still happening. What's going on in our economy affects the town as well. Please keep that in mind when you're thinking about how we have to manage our budget.
I'd also like to remind the public that there are 5 seats up for grabs, including my own, come April. So if you really hate the way things are being run, I urge you to run for town board, and you can see what's really going on here.
And yes, we wish the county people could too, but we don't make that rule in government.
But anyway, if the board's ready to move on, I don't know how you guys feel. If you're good with
$1,500
allocating $1,500, I would just entertain a motion allocating the money pending a completed application as well.
Can I say one?
Yes,
thing?
please.
So the fees that Madam Mayor is pulling out of this fund to compensate or subsidize, that's something that can be applied for every single year. You guys are a nonprofit, so I heard earlier that we don't want to have to pay. We just want this to be grandfathered in. Somebody's going to pay for it, and we hope that we orchestrated or showed that we have fees as a town to do this event. Even though it's smaller than 4th of July, there's still a fee. There's an impact to us as a greater community to put this event on. So this pool, we've already had people approach us at the beginning of the year. There's still funds in it. We literally cannot give it away. But it's designed, it's set up to make sure that there's a grant and a program for nonprofits such as yourself. So you can come in front of the board next year and ask for something, and chances are there's a likelihood that it's going to be approved. And it could be greater. You may not ever have to touch your checking account again, right? So it's not a handout. It's not a poor me situation. It's there to benefit programs exactly like this, to reinsure that they never go away, right? So why would you not use that money? Again, I'm gonna say this one more time. Public record, it's not a handout. It's to make sure that we preserve events and nonprofit organizations such as you guys. So.
And let me remind you, after the $1,500, there's still $3,800 up for grabs.
So, all right.
Madam Mayor, I'd like to make a motion to allocate $1,500 from our nonprofit fund towards the Heritage Day event.
I'll second that.
I would add pending a completed.
Pending a complete
Thank you.
application, sorry,
I'll second that.
with maps.
All right, we have a motion, we have a second. Any further discussion? Roll call.
Trustee Zazzaro?
Yes.
Trustee Hartz?
Yes.
Trustee Moreland?
Yes.
Trustee Thomas?
Yes.
Trustee Wolf?
Yes.
Trustee Ah?
Yay.
And Mayor Tarkenton.
Yes.
So the item on the agenda was to waive $800 and basically $4. So is that $1,500
remaining-
goes to them and $804 comes to us? Is that's your?
So the remaining can go to help pay the band
Okay.
or whatever
Thank
incidental.
you. I just wanted to verify that.
All right. Thank you all for being here. Thank you for getting involved. You're welcome to leave. You can stay for the rest of the meeting. We'll be here a while.
But you don't have to.
All right, moving on to our action agenda items. Resolution 580 Master Park Plan.
I think we need to get up and move.
Let's power through it. We got this.
I know, so I might need to go to the bathroom soon. I need to power faster.
Oh my God, I need some water.
Oh,
Hold on, I need
let me stand up for a second.
Yeah, I'll take some more.
2 seconds, okay.
I don't know if you guys can tell, but I was dying.
That's better than the 5th.
Good to see you, Carol. I feel like it's been a while. How are you?
Oh, maybe I'm gonna go to the bathroom too.
Okay. All right, we're taking an official 3-minute break. Hurry up.
We would have had the application when Phyllis had initially was putting it together, then none of this would have even been.
Have some fans.
I get it. It's hard. Careful.
Yeah. Not a lot
Miss you guys. You didn't want to
Take a
liaison.
break, huh?
Only 3 minutes. A town liaison. Meeting. I can bring cake.
We can make arrangements.
I've like perfected my blueberry pie. Yeah, I know. Maybe I'll find out. When is your next board meeting?
I'm not really on social media either, but I'm
Yes, I'll be there.
35-year resident, so I'm taking up.
You could just hear.
So what we started to do with some of the other events, even in May, is we started participating with them in the planning process.
Yes. Actually, I'd written down, I had it on my
Not this.
Cool. So you guys are doing a barbecue, like a cookout or a summer?
And our plan is very generous, chief.
Okay. Well, cool. Well, I'll definitely see you guys.
I'm in charge of
Thank you for being here. When I was making pie.
Corey kind of downplayed there.
Our emergency manager was like, head on collision in Memphis on Wednesday.
Oh,
She's
shoot.
okay, but her car was not. I was like,
So
You should get your cottage license and start selling them. FYI.
Can I get on the membership?
Yes.
Start acquiring insurance.
When I get my new kitchen,
correct me if I'm wrong, but the people, they have to have their
I just know it just will
license for the
happen.
county to be at the church,
And it may
right?
be a small
I know
thing.
San Juan Basin Health goes in there and checks them, but they have to have a business license through the county, right?
County doesn't require a business license.
Oh, that's right, that's why they, okay. But San Juan Basin Health cracked down on everybody there.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, because they don't want to have a town business license. We require it to sling your goods in the town. They have their, I mean, they're all
So
restaurants.
we
They
had
all
a
have their.
volunteer, I don't know what he was doing.
Well, they have to have their
Field
business
Dreams at
license
City.
through.
I said somebody might have to
Yeah.
save
Some
time.
I forget what else, like
Yeah,
busted
so when
his arm, I don't know,
comes to
arm or
get a
hand
block
or
party
something like that.
application, they do have
And
to
he
get a business
sued the
license
Field
if
of
they don't have
Dreams and
But
then,
in the county, they don't require.
Nobody
and
cares
then
about
went
the
after
arena?
the town.
We had a mob in here
And
for
it was, and the thing is, it
planning
wasn't
commission. It was
necessarily, I
passed
think he
for the arena.
lost
talk
his
to the
immunity,
county
or
next time about
whatever he tripped
requiring
over.
We
was
listened
kind
to
of
all
his
of
fault
them
or whatever it
till
was.
9:30.
But somehow
Yes.
he,
That'd be a lot of work, that'd be a whole department.
the Immunity Act and,
It's not our problem, it's their problem.
They're not gonna do it that easily.
and those dang attorneys.
All right, where are we? Where's everybody? Let's do this.
I know, there'd be some doorways there.
Yeah.
It probably is.
Yeah, and he was a dentist, so he just thought he knew the whole insurance game. And it was just horrible. Doesn't he have?
Alexis, where are you?
I'm sorry, I can't.
We should probably go check on Alexis.
Is she feeling okay?
No, they're just people.
Marion Town's out there for
Oh, hey, Katie, Mike.
Can you
I
guys-
think Alexis is being cornered out there. Can let her know we need her back in here.
As I was walking.
Yeah, she wasn't out there. I thought she was in here.
And it's Marion.
We're waiting on you, come on.
Here we go. I sent the big dogs after you.
I
Oh,
was
save
trying
you.
to save you.
All right, guys, we're gonna power through the rest of this.
I won't even go. You don't even want me to start with that one.
Well, you can't save 5 minutes in.
What do we need?
You can't really save.
We all ready?
No, I was just trying to be like, hey, we gotta go in there, and you're like, no, not instead of like, oh yeah, okay, come in.
Okay,
No, I was trying to.
Justin, we good?
We're good.
Okay. All right. Action agenda 5A.
Did you take it?
We have our park master plan. Open for discussion. Comments, questions.
Oh, I like it.
Public or us?
It's us. It's all about us now. They had their time.
I brought this up before, but if we get funding for this and it goes to phases, I would just like to see the pickleball section be in phase 1. Because we're surrounded by all these other communities that have a little more funding than we do, but they have pickleball, and I do actually agree with members of the community that I think it will bring revenue into the town. These tournaments that they have, like in Grand Junction, Moab,
That's a great
they're
idea.
huge. And a lot of them travel in RVs or these like rooftop camper type things. And I just, if we can, maybe try and get that into a phase 1 type scenario.
I like that idea.
I agree. I think that'll be a condition of approving the plan, actually.
We like it when you talk like that.
Talk about sucking up.
Ryan's like, I've been coming to these meetings for so long, and finally.
All right.
Yeah, and we just need to finalize what we're gonna do with the
Well, we need, yeah.
rodeo association.
All
right?
of that stuff, I mean, all the phasing, all that stuff, we have to approve this plan if we're ready to move forward with that.
The rodeo was, they were part of the discussion with this red area, and it's
Yeah.
acceptable to them?
It was a condition from planning
We'll
commission.
continue
Okay.
working with them
Okay.
and with our consultant on it, but
Okay.
their president was here and he didn't speak
Okay.
during the presentation, so, or the hearing.
One question, Nicole, was with regards to working with the arena folks and someone taking responsibility for getting the title work concerning the deed, handing over the arena, and a question about easements are there existing easements that went or came with the property?
Yeah, Katie actually has the deed. Katie, do you want to read it?
Yeah, I'll read it. So, actually, in the deed, it says, this is recorded
86 or
February 26, 1986. It says, beginning containing 3.71 acres more or less together with an easement for access over the existing roadway leading to the described property. So there's no legal description, but keep in mind when you go to the senior center, basically beyond San Juan Vans, there's really no public street.
Yeah.
So that's really the easement to San Juan Vans, or that area anyway. You know, there's a lot we would have to do to work with the Arena Association to get easements. You know, the discussion we had earlier, you know, they like to get a water tap and, you know, basically have domestic water and some other things there. So, and that's why I kind of put this letter together. Well, maybe we start giving them funds, but it has to be through an approved sales tax, not our own funds right now.
Yeah, understood. I was just wondering whether it would be easier if in fact the easement was already in place for this parking and the access, but it doesn't sound like that is well defined.
But I think that's part of this plan is we, you know, because we're asking them too to, right now, the town owns the property that's adjacent to the river, but at high water mark, if we put a trail there, it's gonna be underwater. And so we're like, you know, we'll make sure, working with them, that we give them appropriate easements that they might need from us. In exchange, we might need some easements from them. And I think it's gonna be a communication, you know, for a couple months going on to try and figure out easements with them.
Great.
But we might need some from them as well.
Yeah, I noticed the flood zone.
No, they're gonna need parking easements from us.
Right.
Right.
Because they're taking up
us,
more
we'll
than
need
their
some from
property even shown on there.
Right.
And we want to
Yeah.
clean it up and make it so going into the future, it's clear what easements we've given to them and what easements they've given to us.
Mm-hmm.
The school will have to be involved.
Mhm.
And they have been. When we had our conversation with the Arena Association members, we had the superintendent with us, so he heard all of the same conversation.
So the red area is going over the access to the paddlecraft put-in takeout, so.
I think it's just very conceptual still.
Okay.
It was just an idea to show them that
Okay.
we'll work this out, and then we're
Okay.
gonna
But there's
have
room.
our groundworks
Okay.
do the revisions.
Okay, I still want to make sure that that access is there and it's not now a horse trailer.
Well, and the trail will be right there too, so you're
Mhm.
gonna have that access as well. But, you know, maybe it is shared access,
Mhm.
and have river put in and take out and
Mhm.
maneuvering for vehicles. Like, you know, Durango does that at Santa Rita.
Mhm.
All the rafting vehicles can maneuver in that same place that a private person can also take
Okay.
in and put out, so.
Well, how does, so there's a ton of parking. What does overnight parking look like, or what?
Do we want overnight parking?
No, not at
No,
all.
I don't think
want
you
there to
do.
be like people
Yeah.
camping out in their car in the
No.
parking
We'd
lot.
be-
So what does that?
We'd be patrolling it, but
Okay.
in this case, we don't have to go down South Street to look at it. They can come off Bayfield
Yeah.
Parkway right across from Town Hall.
Much
and
more
take a drive
convenient.
through
They
there
can
and
catch 'em
just keep
before they
going.
Okay, okay.
Split.
I think overnight parking
But
for events
We
could be a
don't
good
allow,
revenue maker.
we don't allow
At some
camping
point.
in our parks. That's a town ordinance.
Okay.
Yeah, that was what the Brewfest was trying to do, get us to prove that, but no go.
Okay.
Do you need a motion?
Yes, we do.
Madam Mayor, I'd like to make a motion to approve Resolution 580, Park Master Plan.
With the following
Including the
findings.
following findings, A, B, and condition 1. Action A.
All right, we have a motion on the floor
I'll second that.
and a second. Any further discussion? Roll call, please.
Trustee Cesaro.
Yes.
Trustee Hartz.
Yes.
Trustee Moreland.
Yes.
Trustee Thomas.
Yes.
Trustee Wolf.
Yes.
And Trustee Ah.
Yay.
And Mayor Tarkington.
Yes. Resolution 581, sewer fund.
Yeah, so you'll see the resolutions that are referred to in Resolution 581. There are 291, the original loan to decommission the sewer lagoons. It was a loan from the general fund to the sewer fund. And then last year, we were told by the auditor basically that we needed to, if we were going to move that repayment to the housing fund, that we had to have another resolution. So we quickly put a resolution together. The auditor took a look at it. They said, yeah, it looks fine. And now this year, they came back and said, you know, why don't you just pay off, why doesn't the sewer fund just pay off the loan completely back to the general fund? Keep in mind that interest is revenue. The debt payment is not. It basically is capitalized. So, I think this would be cleaner. I did send this to Kelly Jones Mesco, and she did respond. She just said, I think that this looks good and consistent with what we had previously discussed. And it would be a little bit easier just to get this paid back from the sewer fund to the general fund. There is cash in the sewer fund. I don't think we're going to need a budget supplement on this, but we'll know more probably at the end of September. So.
All right, any questions? We need a motion on the floor.
Madam Mayor, motion to approve Resolution 581.
Can I get a second?
I'll second.
Roll call.
Trustee Cesaro.
Yes.
Trustee Hartz. Trustee Moreland.
Yes.
Trustee Thomas.
Yes.
Trustee Wolf.
Yes.
Trustee Ah.
Yay.
And Mayor Tarkington.
Yes.
What is a finally early payoff? Is that meant to be final early payoff?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, I was just like, I'm like staring at this, like, how, am I not understanding
Oh,
that?
thank you. Thank you.
You saw that
I've
too?
been doing the same thing.
Well, the final payment would have been in 2030 something. So.
All right, Resolution 582, Housing Development Fund.
So this is where we have, you'll look at the financial statement, we have $11,000 in the negative in the housing fund. All funds should be positive cash. And so I'm asking in this resolution, is to transfer $100,000 from the general fund to the housing fund. In a lot of ways, the auditor looks at the housing fund and the equipment fund basically as part of the general fund. But there's a lot of unique differences between the equipment fund and the housing fund that are not necessarily associated with, running the senior center and police protection and things like that. So this is basically just be a transfer, once those houses are built. And I want to make sure that the finance director keeps track of those transfers. At some point, if the board ever decides that, we're now have money in the housing fund and to return it to the general fund, then you would have that information at hand, basically to return that money when at the point we start selling those lots. If not, we would probably have to start moving the housing fund into the general fund before we get to the 2024 budget, because it is creating some issues regarding a negative cash in the housing fund.
But I'd also recommend we keep them separate, because Prop 123 may be able to get us some funding that we can put into a housing fund for land banking in the future, as well as if we ever do get the lodging tax, a portion of that would be going towards housing, and so we would want to have that allocated too. So just something to think about for the future possible funding coming for housing.
I want to make sure I'm not just losing my mind because we're all exhausted from those last 2 days. So we're taking the money from the sewer fund of $260,000, putting it into the housing fund. So
No.
No?
Putting it into the general fund.
Into the general fund.
Repaying the loan entirely, early payoff.
Mm-hmm. Okay, from general fund. And then we're going to take it from the general
This is
fund?
completely
Yeah,
separate.
we're.
Oh, I'm just trying to figure out where this is going, because I thought we were just covering that $100,000 shortfall with the last resolution. So I'm just.
No,
No, that was a
Resolution
loan.
Paid off a
That
loan.
loan, so
Yeah.
it's going back to the general fund.
right.
Okay, sorry, I read that wrong, and so then we're
Well, the
gonna-
housing is in there because at one point, we were gonna, the payment was gonna go back into the housing fund, and the,
Okay.
I don't know, we.
Okay, so then now
Yeah,
we're gonna move
yeah.
100 from general.
Yeah, and I
Got it, okay.
apologize for this. We seem to do, would really like to have an audit, draft by the end of May or sometime in the middle of June instead of the middle of July, because we just knee jerk every time we get to the end of the audit approval.
I got it now, I just missed a step in my
No
brain right
worries.
there. Okay, I get it now. So we'll transfer 100 out of what we're, okay. Got it. No more questions for me.
Madam Mayor, I'd like to make a motion to approve Resolution 582.
Second.
All right, roll call, please.
Trustee Cesaro?
Yes.
Trustee Hartz?
Yes.
Trustee Moreland?
Yes.
Trustee Thomas?
Yes.
Trustee Wolf?
Yes.
Trustee Ah?
Yay.
And Mayor Tarkenton.
Yes. Moving on to ordinance 494.
So I don't think this is ready for adoption. I got it from Chief Hogue, and I thought maybe that was what the goal was, is to put it on this agenda. I don't think it's ready. I would say basically just table it until it is ready versus
You'll
having
give us the full explanation
addition
next time.
discussion.
I mean, yeah, I'm intrigued, so just.
Recently, we've had 2 issues with sex offenders in town. And where I was the sex offender coordinator for the department, so I know the law pretty well. And Alabama law and Colorado law are very, very similar. But the only difference.
There you go.
I don't know that sentence has ever been uttered in a public.
Now it's on the record.
Colorado does not have a prohibited residency law like most states do. But Colorado does allow municipalities to create prohibited residencies. So recently, we've had issues with 2 of them. One, we just got felony warrants on. He was picked up yesterday unbeknownst to him, and he is now in jail, and he's gonna stay there for hopefully for a while. The other one, there's other issues, but when I did the research and on this, I noticed that the town of Bayfield has 12 registered within our city limits. 9 were charged outside of the state and moved here. Only 3 have lived in the States and got charged within the state. So I've been questioning why we haven't, Mancos has a ordinance on it. Several of them in Front Range have ordinance on it prohibiting residencies. So we worked out what we're trying to do is do 1,000 feet from
Schools, parks.
I thought that was just-
facilities, public parks, recreation centers, schools, both public, private, and parochial, charter, or other schools. By doing that, we're gonna move them, or not allow them to live within 1,000 feet from those places where children congregate. The ones that currently live here will be grandfathered in, but we have to do 2 more steps to make it so it's not so restrictive that they can't live here, because that's against the law, we'll get sued. The other one is working with the county's SORNA group, the registration group, to make sure that we don't have to take over the registration, because we now created more work for them and create a document that allows us to sign off that says, yes, the residence they want to go to is allowed. So we're still working out that part of it, but having to deal with the 2 lately, and one of them was not really fun to deal with, I thought it was probably best to brought it to Katie's attention, I talked to some of the leaders of our board, and I brought it to Michael to review to see if this is something that would be to help better protect our community from this type of atmosphere. And so this is why I've been researching it and hopefully to bring it forward. I didn't know it tonight, but I've got 2 more tasks to do, and then I will bring it forward. But that's one of my big concerns. We've got such an awesome school district, and I don't want anything to disrupt it by having any of them live near there.
I know I've asked you this question before, but for the purpose of the board to know as well, how many sex offenders do live within that 1,000 feet?
Oh, in the 1,000 feet?
1,000 feet, I think the majority of them do.
Pretty scary, isn't
I
So
thought that was a
there's a couple
Colorado
of things. This is a preventative sort of ordinance, and the question ultimately for the trustees, once it comes before you, is to be whether or not the town feels that it's necessary to do this, and that it's in the public's best interest to enact such an ordinance. And then what I've discussed with the chief is whether or not 1,000 feet from those designated facilities is so prohibitive,
Right,
because
'cause
we are
we're
a small
small.
community, because we're tight, that will in effect exclude all sex offenders from the bounds of the town.
Darn.
And that could be it could be problematic.
Right.
It could raise issues for, the ACLU and Colorado civil rights.
Right.
That did happen in Inglewood. Inglewood got sued, about 15 years ago because it was over-restrictive?
So it's, you want to make sure that it's
So we want to
fair.
do that before we, yeah, okay.
So, do we need a motion to table for a future, or just?
Just table it for,
Sorry, I
yeah.
cut off
Yeah.
a trustee who wanted to say something.
I just had questions on, an ordinance, and we'll see more as it comes along, but something like this, how is, would a registered sex offender have to approach the town before they were to lease, rent, buy, or how?
When they go to the SORNA office at La Plata County, La Plata County has the rules. They'll have to actually ask us for a waiver saying that they are applying to live in a residency that is not prohibited. So the realtors will have to be notified, property managers will have to be notified, and all that other stuff. But they come to us, they don't go to the board, they come to my department to get that waiver. Then they go to the registration office in La Plata County to do the proper registration.
But to your question, and it's a good question, it also, the ordinance as it's drafted right now, also requires prospective landlords to, they could be considered an aider and abettor if they
that was my-
rent to
Yes.
someone
Yeah.
within 1,000 feet that they know to be a registered sex offender.
That was just one of my concerns, is if it's not disclosed,
Yeah.
because we as real estate agents, we can't actually ask those questions. We're
Right.
forbid to do that.
Well, as the chief stated, it is a matter of law that if you are a convicted sex offender, you must register.
Okay.
So it is a matter of public,
Record,
it's in
yeah.
public
I was gonna say,
domain.
we have public record of it, but
Yeah.
it's not always disclosed in that manner, so
But
just,
there
I know
has
that
to be
that'll
some
come
due
about.
diligence that has to occur
Sure.
when you're renting to some folks, and generally you do a background check.
And
Yeah.
this national database, you can go on it anywhere and search a name. And it'll show you, can actually search Bayfield and you'll see all the red dots pop up. Or you can search the whole county and see where everything is. The national database is very, very good and it's always up to date.
Thank you, guys.
Then I would entertain a motion to table to a future meeting.
Madam Mayor, I'd like to make a motion to table ordinance 494, sexual offenders, to a future meeting.
I'll second that.
All right, roll call, please.
Trustee Zazzaro.
Yes.
Trustee Hartz.
Yes.
Trustee Moreland.
Yes.
Trustee Thomas.
Yes.
Trustee Wolf.
Yes.
Trustee Ah.
Yay.
And Mayor Tarkenton.
Yes. Okay, La Plata County Sheriff IGA.
So I did get a document with signature lines, and then I modified it based on Bayfield's need. The county has given us an assortment of different signature lines, so I didn't want to guess what they wanted for them. But I did make some modifications. It's not in the packet, but I do have a different document that I got after the packet was released or sent out. The only thing I would like to see is, if for some reason you're fully staffed and then you're not fully staffed, is there any way we could consider like a pause clause, or?
I think once we get fully staffed, we end it.
Okay, all right, it's fine. All right. But they're just a couple modifications. They're mostly just textual things. It does not, and I don't know, Town Attorney Goldman, if you went through this.
I've not reviewed it, and I'm just noticing, again, there's the cost to the town of Bayfield of
Right.
$47,000 per year for these services. No, but I'd like an opportunity to review
Yeah,
it.
and we can just send it, basically in a review by the town attorney, adding the signature lines, and I'll send you the newest one, not this one. Any text amendments that need to be done, for your approval.
I'd like to make a motion to authorize Mayor Tarkington to execute the agreement after town attorney review and completion of the agreement.
Second.
All right, roll call.
Trustee Cesaro.
Yes.
Trustee Hartz.
Yes.
Trustee Moreland.
Yes.
Trustee Thomas.
Yes.
Trustee Wolf.
Yes.
Trustee Ah.
Yay.
And Mayor Tarkington.
Yes. East Court Sewer Alignment.
Corey, I'm gonna let you talk about this one.
Okay, so as you all know, we went through a formal bidding process, and at the last hour of the opening bid, we got 0. Nobody put in a bid, so we reached back out to our engineer, SGM, and they reached out to 3 different contractors that we've all worked with, TRC, Ramco, and CRG. TRC came in at 164,000, Ramco came in at 230,000, and CRG came in at 179,000. It's staff and our town engineer SDM's recommendation that we award this project to TRC. They've done work for us in the past, and they do good work, and they are the lowest bidder.
Is this a pain in the butt project? Is that why nobody wanted to touch this, or? I know it's a little bit of a.
It is a
It's a-
pain in the butt project.
It's timing probably more than anything.
Yeah, okay.
Got a tight timeline. We have to work around the irrigation season because
okay,
right
okay,
now,
gotcha.
where the project site is currently standing water on top of the ground.
Oh, lovely.
It's private property with easements, so there's a lot of levels of complication.
They got to stay within a 20-foot easement on this guy's property, and
Okay.
it's
They're
it's
aware
going
of
to be a
that.
tough one, but it's a small project. It's just really tough.
And this was already pre-budgeted?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes,
What was the budget amount originally?
250,000.
Nice.
So it's coming in under.
Huh?
Coming in under.
I know, that's why I said nice. Well,
Not done yet.
it's not, yeah, it's not done yet, but it's good.
Sorry.
Well, the-
Yeah, they always come in higher.
with now you say that, with meeting with the contractors and SGM, we've discovered other ways to actually cut cost on this project.
Oh, cool.
We won't require as much bypass pumping as originally we thought we were going to need.
Thank you for your expertise.
Madam Mayor, I'd like to make a motion to award the East Court Sewer Alignment Project to TRC Construction in the amount of $164,613.50.
Second.
All right, any further discussion? Roll call.
Trustee Cesaro.
Yes.
Trustee Hartz.
Yes.
Trustee Moreland.
Yes.
Trustee Thomas.
Yes.
Trustee Wolf.
Yes.
Trustee Ah.
Yay.
And Mayor Tarkington.
Yes. All right, moving on to our CDOT letter of support. Nicole, is this your?
Well, actually, it's from Tony. This is similar to the letter of support that we approved before. This just happens to be a different grant bucket.
Oh, okay.
So,
Okay. That makes it easy. Madam Mayor, I'd like to make a motion to authorize Mayor Tarkington to execute the letter and forward to CDOT.
A second.
Not CODT.
Sorry, we have a motion and a second. Roll call, please.
Trustee Cesaro.
Yes.
Trustee Hartz.
Yes.
Trustee Moreland.
Yes.
Trustee Thomas. Trustee Wolf.
Yes.
Trustee Ah.
Yay.
And Mayor Tarkington.
Yes. All right, you see those dates of interest? It's on your radar?
So the September 5th, we will start earlier, basically to go through a work session with the sales tax ballot. And you may get, do you want to take option A, option B, option C on lodging? Do you want to take, basically so that you have a chance to take a look at each one of those. And I'll try to identify which one, but I don't want to get into a meeting and have this discussion. I prefer a work session, then go into the meeting.
do you want us at 6 then? Is that?
6 o'clock is when we're gonna start
Okay.
that meeting on the 5th. And
Can
we
you
will
make
have
sure
a
that's
Zoom
Zoom?
link because we do need to make sure that we have a quorum. I
And,
can't wait for.
and we'll have to put it out Zoom link.
Yes, because
'Cause
I won't.
The
I-
girls
I
can join,
only-
they just,
Right.
okay.
Yeah,
All right,
as long as no babies come.
thanks for hanging in. I'm gonna go ahead and adjourn this meeting. It's 9:14. Oh, my phone's blowing up from the people out there.
Got your cell.
Maybe you guys just laughed about this and stuff.
Oh, she just attacked me out there and she said, don't.
Yeah, that'll be on our discussion.
100% would, and I'd also like to know why Durango
Or is this to Pete
paused on
Buttigieg?
it.
I don't know, but that was not what I was interested in.
No, I was, yeah.
Okay.
And then the other one, I was like,
There's a lot of references.